and welcome back to the next episode of the Right Hand Drive Guys podcast, the podcast for guys who like right-hand drives. I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
Yo.
And we are here at GarageSZero with Tommy and Jack. And we were like, hey, Connecticut's close enough. We're up here in East Bumfuck, Maine. We should come down, see what the boys are doing, just chat it up a little bit.
We're probably the most local to you, right?
Yeah, you and Jimmy.
Yeah,
we talked
Jimmy's
to
like
Jimmy.
45 minutes away.
Oh, he's close. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so obviously, everybody knows you from YouTube, right? That. Would you say that's
my subs don't say that's true. My subscriber count, but
yeah.
I'm outside for sure.
That's like probably where maybe this really escalated for you as far as your career.
What, YouTube?
Yeah, did that help propel you to?
Yeah, so like YouTube was a weird start. Basically, what happened is a YouTuber. I used to part out cars, so like I had a bunch of E36s, which I thought was like a really good car back in the day. I always had to like get them and take them apart. Everything, anything. I got to take it apart and see what I like, what I don't like. So I started with like E36s as far as part outs. My first cars were like Hondas and stuff. And then I had some FDs, I had some 240s. This other YouTuber reached out to me. I didn't know they were a YouTuber. They didn't know who I was. I just got a DM or whatever on Craigslist, and it was like, hey, I want the blower motor for that 240 because I was partnering like a Koki S14.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, yeah, sure, but you're gonna have to take it out. One, a blower motor's $60. I'm not gonna waste my time. And two, I was actually at a wedding while this was happening, like dressed up. So they're like, all right, come now. And I was like, well, I'm at the after party. Like, I can leave, to see if I can sell him some extra stuff. So I went down there, and this kid was like, he showed up with two other people. He's like, oh, I got, he's talking about what he did. He basically, like, just mouth vomited all of his, he might as well told me his social security number at the time. But it was like, I got all these subs. I make this much money, and this is why. And I can't get a garage space because I'm 17 or 18, and no one will rent to me. They don't believe I make money doing YouTube, da-da-da. So I was like, you can film in here. Don't film me. I don't know you.
Yeah.
And did the deal. He left. And while he was there, he was like looking at some other stuff. And I went home that night. I owned a landscaping business, and I watched all of his videos. Like, stayed up all night.
Oh, damn. You did your research.
Oh, that was the worst content I'd ever seen on YouTube. And that was like my biggest downfall, was assuming that mattered. Right? So I'm watching this, and I'm like, this kid's not very smart. He's not very well spoken. He's not good at cars. He doesn't have any cool cars. Yeah. And the person who didn't even know you can make money off YouTube is watching this going, I could do this way better than this dude. So the next day, sleep deprived, I called him and I was like, hey, you still need garage space. I had 80,000 square foot warehouse. It was not good. It was not good.
It sounds awesome.
It was cool, but it was like the wires run illegally and, it was sketchy.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was like, I'll give you some space. You help me with the YouTube channel. And he kind of like chuckled. He's like, no problem. Like, he thought this was, he was good to go because as a YouTuber now, like all your friends, everyone you meet's like, I should start a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? You're like, go the fuck ahead.
Yeah.
But he kind of had that attitude, and he'd even said like later on, like, I never thought you'd do it. But that was August or September of 2016, and I got my first check January 2017 for $1,800.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's quick.
And it takes a while. So this was early YouTube where you didn't have to meet those like thresholds.
Yeah.
Right? It was like you upload a video, it went viral, you got paid. I think there was like $100 threshold before they'd like pay you or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like,
it was 100.
Yeah, you didn't need like 10,000 watch hours and all that other nonsense. It was just like if you go viral, you get paid. We run ads against your video, you get paid. So I got on like the perfect time, and having him around, like I said, it like all humbled. It didn't humble me, but it humbled me a little bit, thinking like, oh, I'm just gonna be myself. This kid's a fucking idiot. This is real thoughts. Like he's not smart. So I was like, I can make fun of him, which is what I love to do. But then I started doing that, and his like hardcore viewers were getting like upset. They're like, what? And I'm thinking like, what is this, a bunch of pussies? So I started the like, you're a pussy thing. So I don't know how long, if you guys watch like long or
yeah.
My first like merch drop was a sticker that said, you're a pussy, no spaces. Because when people would complain, I'd go in the comments and just write, you're a pussy, no spaces. Because I didn't want to get in trouble on YouTube.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're a pussy, and we'd say it like that. Nah, you're a pussy. So I was like, God, these kids are so soft.
Remember, thank you.
You're a pussy. So I was like, God, all these people are so soft. So I didn't tone it down, but I just started finding the way, and it was cool. It was like, it's cool, but people don't get it. It's like a crazy double-edged sword, right? Because let's say you make $1 million YouTubing, you are justifying spending $1 million because you're doing things you like, right? Like, oh, I have 100K and I need content. I'm gonna go buy this car, or whatever, 10K, and I'm gonna go buy this car. And now you're getting like rewarded for terrible financial decisions, and you're justifying it, going, "Oh, this is my job," right? Like if you own a construction company, you're not gonna think twice about buying a hammer.
Right.
That's kind of how it is with YouTube. You're like, I need this content to continue. So like a lot of the YouTubers that I know and you see are working not paycheck to paycheck. They're working like negative to neutral.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how it's going all the time until you like break out and shit. I don't even know if like, I know LZ's past that, but not always. You know what I mean? It's not like he's doing stuff at such a bigger level that like when he wants to buy a car that's $200,000, you know, I know it's not tapping him out, but it's putting a dent in his wallet like pretty big. Just the same as someone with 10,000 subs buying a $5,000 car, you know.
Makes sense.
So it's this weird facade where you think like, well, you justify doing what you love because you can make money, but you're really not making any money. You're just buying a bunch of shit that I mean, look at this fucking room. You're just buying a bunch of shit you want, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're living. I mean, you are, but like it's a nonstop grind because if you stop for 2 days, you get to watch your money go down. You get to watch. It's like, think about that like a normal job. You know, if like you didn't show up a day, you know, you lose that day. Imagine that day is your month's salary, you know, because that's kind of, you could miss a day. Like videos now, I just tell everyone like 10,000 views or 1 million views is $10,000.
Damn.
You know, that's like a good, like it's between 7 and 12, but it's, you know, $10,000. So, you know, lose 1 million views, you're losing $10,000.
Yeah, that's pretty wild to put into that perspective where, you know, you're buying these things that are considered tools because you got to make content constantly, but they're costing you so much that you can't really stop. Because,
that's the reason the giveaway thing started. I mean, it in every YouTuber's defense, like giveaways are the coolest thing ever because you get to build a car for content. You get to buy it and experience it and be a shopaholic and, you know, do all the stuff. And then you get to give it away. And at the very least, you're going to break even usually, you know, like I've lost on 2 giveaways, you know, so it's like, okay. And you learn and you get better and it's just, they need merch. They need sponsor deals. They need giveaways. They need it.
Right.
You know, because the ad rev, I mean, Jimmy's maybe getting 2 million views a month. Right. So in a grand scale, best case scenario, he's making $20,000 a month. He's got a full-time tech. He's got travel expenses. He's got tools and electricity. And, you know, his business doesn't make any other money.
Right.
You know, his merch does well, but like.
He doesn't have customers per se.
Yeah.
Right.
He's
like
just
Oak's Garage is not turning over.
No.
Right.
And even when it does, it's like, it's still like there's pretty much all the resources are going to be soaked up by whatever it is you're doing. So it's not like you're able to like put a bunch of money in your pocket. Like this place, like it's great, it's cool for content, but I couldn't imagine being LZ who pretty much has this place without the business side.
Right.
You know,
There's
this
no
is
extra
all
revenue.
coming out of his ass. Like, you know, every person he sees walk by is costing him money.
Right. That's
Off
true.
of something that they potentially didn't have a lot to do with.
And
right?
they make careers out of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's like a side job for those guys. That's
Wait,
their job.
Are you talking about Adam or the people walking by?
The people that are at Adam's compound?
Yeah, that's they're hoping that Adam succeeds forever, right? Like just like any other job.
Yeah. Makes
So
sense.
so all those people rely on like Adam's YouTube channel.
That's wild when you
crazy.
think about it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause-
YouTube is huge.
It's
Like,
huge. It's so important for him, but at the same time, it's the least amount of money he makes probably would be from ad rev.
Right.
Giveaways, merch, this, that, all that's good. And it markets everything else, Drift HQ, all that stuff. But the ad rev is, you know, whatever it is. It could be way too low and you're like, we got to dip into the merch money or we got to dip into Drift HQ or I got to sell a car to make sure everyone makes, you know, so I make payroll. So, you know, it's
That could be
It's spicy.
stressful.
Yeah.
Like in that sense, you know, because from the outside, perception's everything.
Yeah.
From the outside, it looks like, dude, these guys are living the life. They're killing it. They're doing whatever they want.
I'm good friends with LZ. If I called him right now, he wouldn't answer his phone. You know what I mean? He's busy. Or he
Right.
texts me. I literally have a text from him from last night where I tried to call him about something, and his response was, that's not it. His response was like, can I call you later? I said, how long? And he said, 2 hours. And, and then he said, actually call me because I'm swamped. So then I called him 2 hours later. You know what I mean? Like, that was at 6 o'clock at night.
Right.
He was
still
on
grinding.
a call. Yeah. So it's like, you know, TJ's probably got a little more like, I don't want to say simpler life. He's got his own things, but like, he doesn't have the facility and the employees that Adam does. You
All
know?
that overhead.
And then to see how easy it can be taken away from you or affected negatively, you know,
Right.
every one of them has had some pseudo semi-controversial thing that they had to go through and hear shit from people on the internet, you know, about it that really didn't know the situation.
And you're not immune to that.
No, I'm not immune to that. So like, yeah. So like, that's the craziest part of it is you think you have like a fan base, but for some reason, everyone kind of, to an extent, wants to see people in higher positions do worse than them. That makes them feel better about that. I think.
Yeah.
Because I've never been like that type of hater where I saw like Adam LZ and I was like, I'm better at this than him. I mean, I guess I did when I met the YouTuber that came to my shop.
Well,
Right.
it's like that David and Goliath complex.
Yeah.
You know, they want to see the puppy get up there in the ranks.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't want to see the big dog.
Yeah,
take
no
down
one
the
want
puppy.
they want to see people get taken out. It's interesting. It's fun. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's why reality TV
It's relatable.
trumps everything now. You don't see like that many great shows popping off that are like written. You know,
Right.
it's mostly reality TV that's just like killing it. So, yeah. Speaking of me not being immune to it, like as I'm sure you know, I had that video go up and it was like a huge learning experience, but a lesson that I felt I had already learned before it happened because that was, in its simplest form, a dispute. Just a dispute. We could have a dispute. You like red cars, I like black cars. You can bring that to whatever, politics,
Right.
abortion, whatever the fuck you want, you can bring it to. We had a dispute about a situation between the two of us that was never communicated correctly by anyone except for, I believe, myself. So, like, I can give a quick minute on it, and I'm glad Jack's here to have his say in it. But basically, I had somebody who reached out to me. It actually goes crazy deep because it has to do with Jack's business as well. So back in the day when I met Jack, he owned a shop, HP Logic. He helped me build my first GTR. He DM'd me, like we were DMing, and one day I was like, I'm going to come to Florida, just hang out. Went to Florida. Jack picked us up at the airport in like a 34 and a 33.
30. Yeah, I think I picked up in Dusty.
Proper.
I think it was 32 also.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah.
So he rolls up to, you know, Palm Beach or where,
Yep.
Fort Lauderdale.
Was
And-
it Fort? Oh, it was
Yeah,
Fort
I think it was
Lauderdale.
Fort
Yeah,
Lauderdale.
that's right. First time.
And he's got these two Skylines, which like I had a 32, but you didn't really see 33s ever.
Oh,
you didn't really see 32s ever.
It's one of those Florida cores, right?
Yeah, this was-
they were legal then. The
Oh, okay.
33 wasn't.
Was it 2016?
2017.
2017.
Yeah. So, I rolled. You know, Jack rolls up, picks us up. He's with his tech at the time, which is this guy Roberto, who now owns. I mean, do we say it? It's fine to say what
I don't care.
Yeah, he owns Rav Performance.
Rav.
So he got his starts with Jack. And, you know, whatever. 10 years, 8 years,
9 years. Yeah.
9 years he worked there, got his like foundation. And so he was interested in the importing side of the business, right? So because
I
like
see.
this was, 2017, there wasn't a ton of importers. You know, there was a couple and there was, I think the, what's that company that went off the wall? Not Rivzu. What's that other one? Was that beginning with an M? Montu?
Montu.
Montu.
Yeah.
Motors,
Montu had
yeah.
just done that crazy shit with like they sold like 34s but didn't give them or something. I don't really know. Allegedly, I got to watch what I say. I don't really know the story. I don't remember it. But you didn't get to see a lot of these cars, you know, and he rolls up in this 32, 33 and Roberto's with him and whatever. We go back to Jack's and we don't know these dudes, you know, we're just like, let's see what the fuck happens. Jack's showing us stuff, and he's got all these imports. And I make a video about one of the imported cars. It's a 32, and it sells like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like it sold that night.
The whole idea was, we were going to try and work together to market cars that we were importing and market our services, market the whole thing. It was going to be a really great relationship where we have that ability to do that.
And I didn't, at the time especially, didn't want to own a shop. I knew where my strength was, and that was like marketing, the marketing side.
Right,
So I was
getting
like,
to people.
if Jack owns a shop and he's got a tech and he's got a dyno, all I got to do is funnel people to this situation who have Skyline, whatever.
Yeah.
And Roberto was big on the importing, and he'd brought in one of his own cars, so they had cars laying around, which is cool to see. From shitty to good cars, and like
Yeah.
you didn't back then at 17. In 2017, I just didn't get that. You didn't have that as prevalent as you do today. So it was really like, whoa, you
Right.
were like kind of like starstruck on the Skylines. There was a 34 in his shop.
I had multiple R34s.
Yeah, there was
Damn.
and there was his fucking neighbor, the tire guy, had a 34 GTT. Like, so you're like there, and there's a GTT. He had R35. Like that dude had a bunch of shit, and then all of his homies had like Supras and all kinds of stuff. And we're like, fuck, I wish shit like this was in Connecticut. I really liked going down there. The vibes were there. They were what they were supposed to be. Where it's like just dudes rolling up to a shop, using some of the resources, but helping out, taking out the garb. It was a really cool vibe.
Yeah.
You guys were ready to move down to
Yeah, we
Florida.
were ready
Yeah.
to go because it was just. It seemed like the easiest way to access.
We
that,
had a
you know?
lot of resource to make it happen.
Yeah, he'd
Flor-
been doing it for so long.
and Florida's was a lot easier.
Yeah.
You could roll through with less than 25-year-old cars and
All the
not get in
time.
trouble
I mean,
in
yeah,
Florida because
all the
they were
time.
literally state legal. They weren't federally legal, but they were state legal.
And no one was coming into Florida for him.
Right.
If you had a car in
it
Florida,
was
like,
a safe zone.
you were safe. So fast forward a little bit. I sold that car first video.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was $45,000 car, whatever it was, $35,000 car. I was like, wow. And I didn't do it for any exchange, but Roberto and Jack came up to me and like, hey, you sold that car. I was like, oh, cool, congrats.
Sick.
And they're like, well, we're gonna give you a haul tech for your car.
Oh shit.
Like almost like a, and I'm like, my car needs a haul tech. Cool. So they gave me that, and then that was basically like everyone kind of light bulbed and was like, oh, you can do this and I can do this and we can work together and here's how we'll split it. And there was supposed to be like a profit split and everything was supposed to be good. Jack didn't run that side. He's the tuner. He had an accountant guy, and then he had Roberto running the import. Roberto be up all night, watching the imports and stuff. He knew all the details. And basically we were supposed to get cars at cost. And because anything we had, we're able to promote for your shop easier. Mm-hmm. And then they were supposed to sell cars. We would get a commission or money off the next car, whatever it was. We were like pretty open. Like a year went by, and I kept getting DMs where people were like, "Oh, I bought that car," and I'm like, "I didn't get fucking paid." But like, I wasn't like too entitled at that point. I got entitled, but I wasn't too entitled at that point. I was like, "Huh." One day it got to like too really bad, and I called Jack. And I'm like, "Listen, I think something's going on." Well, should I back up to the first night?
Yeah, I guess
the first night we're there. Jack's family lives close, and they're like, "Oh, Jack's like, I'm gonna go visit my mom." Like, whatever, cool. So we're hanging out there, and Roberto doesn't stop talking shit about him. Now I don't know these guys. It's like if you go in the other room and this dude's like, "Fuck that dude."
This is
Right.
mind blowing for me because this guy was literally
His right hand man.
like a best friend, everything all wrapped into one. He'd been basically in my space for the past 6 years, whatever,
At that
7
point,
years,
yeah.
just there all the time. We're a pretty tight crew. We know pretty much everything about each other
there is to know. Yeah.
there is to know.
And my issues is I can't. I have to fucking tell him that. I
Right.
don't care. Well, you know what I mean? I'm the guy that's like, "Yo, your girl is cheating on you." Like,
Right,
I
right.
don't give a fuck.
And this is a stranger.
I'm a stranger. I don't even know him.
We
We
this is
go
the
out
first
for
time we
drinks
met.
that night, and I'm like, "Just so you know, you got a fucking snake in your shop." Just like that. He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Your
I was-
boy there, as
I was
soon as
shocked.
you left, he was talking shit." Said it in front of another guy. And so that was like my vibe moving forward. Was just like, this dude's a snake.
Right.
If I met you two together and the moment you walked out, he started talking shit, there would never be a moment I could trust him.
Right.
Never. Because like I met you two together. It's like that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
That's weird. So
Takes a special type of guy to start doing that.
yeah, and I tell him, and I'm just like, I have to tell you because I'm not gonna go home and be the guy that's like, do you hear Roberto talking shit about? Like I don't want to like gossip. I just told Jack whatever he did with that information. Cool. Roberto stuck around. Jack's cool with it. They worked it out. I don't give a fuck. So fast forward, selling cars, getting DMs, and finally I'm like, this is fucking crazy. I'm selling 30 cars. I'm not getting paid. In the long end, that would have converted to 30 grand. Usually you're getting like $1,000 a car.
Yeah, it's good money.
So I hit up Jack and he's like, I don't know, like, what do you want to do?
I'm in the whole thing. I'm like watching, but not really listening to every detail.
He played it perfect because he didn't get involved as much as he could have, which allowed everyone to show their true colors. Because if Jack was on him, he may have been more sly and shit. So I think it was handled perfectly at the time, looking back. So anyway, being the scumbag I am, I say, if you're...
He's drinking seltzer water.
I'm going to burp. If you bought a car from HP Import, I'm going to enter you in a giveaway.
Oh, wow.
Just a little giveaway.
Yeah.
I said, hit me up with your pictures, your VIN, date you bought it. I got like fucking 31 emails, 29, 31, somewhere like that. I'm like,
Whoa.
what the fuck?
Shit.
So I like show up to this meeting, on the phone, and I'm like, listen, this is what's going on. I submitted all to them. What do you want to do? Me and Jack worked it out our way. Roberto tried to like claim there was no way to connect the sales. Like, for instance, one of the cars sold in Washington State for a place that's never marketed outside of Florida. Like, most of their sales.
We had like this little like emergency meeting after this, and and he's like, Roberto's like, hey, there's no way he can connect these. There's no way he can connect these. There's no proof that these sales came
that's
through
his
him.
angle.
That was his angle. It wasn't. Oh, okay, I see how it's possible. It was no. There's no way he can prove it.
You would think he'd be like, wow, we should have vetted these people or asked. And he claimed he did that. It doesn't matter. That was like the least of our worries at the time. But so off of that giveaway, there's this gentleman that emails me. And that's where I was going with that whole long thing.
Yeah,
this guy goes, hey, I haven't bought a car from them, but if it enters me in the giveaway, I'll buy one right now. And I'm like,
Okay.
I have the email, so I literally said something along the lines of like, well, you don't need to do that. Like, it's not like a big deal. And he's like, no, I've been talking to him about a GTR and an RX-7. I'm going to pull the trigger. He pulls the trigger. He gets the car, buys the car, whatever. So we start talking, and we start like bonding over dislike for Roberto, because now he receives this car that actually wasn't even imported, so unknown to me because I wasn't fucking with Roberto and HP Import at the time. This car was like a trade-in for another car. It was a 32
I
GTR.
remember that.
Yeah, and Jack like didn't really know the details or whatever. So the car shows up to him, and Roberto sold him some package, and it just didn't go the way he wanted to, and we just start like talking shit about Roberto. Why not?
Right.
So this guy Ian's like, oh, I still have all the text, and it's fucking crazy, this shit he talked. And I was like, yeah, he's a scumbag, whatever. So fast forward, he starts like telling me more personal things, and he's like, oh, I was in an accident, and I was watching your videos while I was in the hospital, and I really want to like help you out or be a part of what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really know, like, you're in Ohio, whatever. And he's like, well, I have this RX-7. I want to give it to you. Now I'm at 60,000 subs. You give me an RX-7, you just handed me a fucking $100,000 bill.
Right.
That's
that
all you
point,
gave me.
yeah.
Like, I have to build it. I have to do stuff. So I was like, well, let me just take the car. I'll do some stuff with the car. We'll say the car's mine. I'll restore it, manual swap it, this, that. I'll do the work you can't. You'll pay for the parts. You'll pay for the labor. I'll be able to get the content. I'll give you a discount on labor, a discount on parts, whatever we got to do. And we'll get this FD built for you, and then you'll have your car that you want.
Sounds like a win-win, realistically.
I was like, how can we make this symbiotic? And that was it. I was going to get that $100,000 bill covered, where the only thing at the end I wouldn't have is own an FD, which I already own one. I don't give a fuck. So that's how it starts. And it was like, here's some money for the RX-7. Oh, I want this. I want that. And it was kind of like, I started getting like a grocery list, like, oh, go grab me a gallon of milk. But it was more like, get me a set of coilovers.
Yeah.
And he'd wire me money. I'd buy coilovers, ship them to his house, ship them to me, whatever we're doing. Well, he kept changing his mind on the FD, the build. He bought another one. Then he wanted me to buy an E36. Then he bought an SR. He bought a bunch of shit. He bought a 350Z that I was going to buy, and I picked up, and then he didn't want to sell it to me. So all the mods I did to it, he ended up paying me for. You know, there's a bunch of like weird deals that like you would do with your homie and not think twice of. But now looking back, I'm like, I was just taking what was being given to me instead of thinking it through, right? Like if you said to me, hey, I got a 350Z, I want you to drive it a little bit and change things you think and kind of like refine this car, I would probably put us in some kind of contract, you know, something, you know. And at the time, I'm like, well, what do I have to lose? It's still titled in his name. I'll drive it around. I'll have a free car to drive around. I'll mod it. And when he's ready to sell it to me or when I do the FD work, we could take it off the top. Like, I was willing to barter because these things made sense, you know. Well, because of the convolution of that situation over the course of 6-7 months, those like go get me this and pick that up, they didn't make sense for either one of us, right? Because I'm driving to New York City to pick up an E36 that like he wired me the money for the E36. I got gas, I got this, I got that. In his mind, I'm getting content. It's not fucking content to pick up an E36 and leave it behind my shop for 2 years, you know?
That's a hassle.
But I could see from his perspective as, because I get a lot of time. I mean, I got a call today basically asking for work in exchange for me being able to film it. He was right there. I got a call today. Someone said, you guys could film this or do a podcast and do the work for me. And I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, we know what it costs, but the people, they see Adam LZ with the new GT3 RS and TJ with his stuff. They're like, oh, you must make 10x what you have into each video.
Yeah, they think that you're just making money hand over fist. So to add a little extra project here and there doesn't really...
It doesn't hurt.
Right.
Doesn't put a dent in your...
You know, get your sponsors to do this stuff. It's like,
I'm
going to use that for me.
What did he say? He said, I'll make an instructional out of it.
Yeah, something. It was crazy. It was crazy. But it happens, you know. And it happens way too often. And it's worse now that I have the shop because everyone thinks like I should get a discount if they film their car. I'm like, dude, this is a documentation for you. If you go to sell your car and there's this video, I promise you the car's going to be more desirable than if this video doesn't exist.
Right.
You know, we're showing all the good and the bad.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, I thought this was all symbiotic. It got really fucking messy. You know, I'd be picking something up and he'd be like, you know, let's say something was $1,500. He'd send $2,000 and be like, go out to dinner with Jeff or go do this or give Jack a fucking hug for me. You know, like just little things that like.
Why the hug?
Yeah. What
you're a hug guy.
You've never hugged me.
I owe you a couple bucks. So like it just got really messy, you know, as that situation absolutely could. And there was zero accounting. From my side, I remember at the time being like, what the fuck do I need to keep track of this for? He's spending money like a fucking drunken sailor and I'm providing these services and he's paying extra, which in my head was almost like payment. But at the same time, then he would like lend me money or better yet, I'll give you this money that you want for this. Take it off of this bill. And obviously, I didn't own a shop. I didn't have partners. I didn't have anything. That's fucking beautiful for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my tech chip away at that. It'll be done, and I'll have this 350Z, S15, whatever the fuck for that labor. I don't need a chunk of change. I'd rather build this car over here before. Because as YouTube, as you know, like you got to be ahead of it. You can't build this FD and then get the money for the S15 and then go buy the S15 and then start building it because now you're fucking 4 months behind, you know? So it all made sense until it didn't anymore. And then like whatever, one day I discovered he was disgruntled and I questioned him. I was like, what's the deal? We had a lot of conversation that obviously we don't need to get into. It's just like useless details. But at the end of all of our arguments or conversation, whatever you want to call them, which was 2019, which is when this went down, we pretty much argued, you know, communicated for 4 months. And then December 2019, I said, I just need something in writing. If you believe you're owed money, you know, we're arguing on the phone. What about this? What about this? It's a fucking waste of time.
Right.
We could do this all day. Put something in writing that says you owe me this for this, this for this, this for this. So then I can go, well, what about this? What about, and we can, that's how we would chip away at this. And I have the text messages. They were presented. 2019, give me something in writing. I made sure I documented it, which was the best thing I ever did. 2020, 1 year, it was like a couple days after or short of 1 year, I said, I don't even know if you're fucking alive. It was like COVID.
Yeah.
This dude had complications from his injury, like bad ones. I don't even know if you're alive. I haven't heard from you in a year. And I wasn't trying to communicate with him without that piece of paper.
Right.
We're just going to argue. It's a waste of my fucking time. Going to get me pissed off. Then I'm going to go film pissed off. Like, it's not good. I'm going to be pissed at my family. I'm going to be pissed at my text.
It's true.
It's just going to fuck my whole day up. So talk to me when you have that number and let me get pissed when you have that number. So 2020, I sent him another text. It's been a year. I haven't heard from you. How are you making out on that list or that piece of paper?
Must be long as hell.
And then he calls me and he's like, oh, you know, whatever. He's going back and forth. And I'm like, listen, it's so convoluted. Here's what I'll be willing to do. That silver car I showed you, I said, I don't know if you owe me money, if I owe you money, but I know a way we could solve this. I'll give away this car with a giveaway, and I will give you the money that the car gives away, which I only had like 15 grand into the car.
Oh, damn.
So I was like, and I assumed there was some overage, but I also couldn't do that because I wasn't getting paid for any of this. So in my mind, the overage is whatever the fuck I say it is.
Mind you,
Right.
also one thing that's got to be said here, like my take on him was that he was really trying to get exposure for his own YouTube channel that he wanted to create.
For sure.
So he was really hitting up Tommy and other YouTubers like in live streams and everything. Always like, shout my name. Here's $50.
Yeah.
Shout.
He
Do
was-
this, and
I
it would be more too.
I don't want to say in a derogatory way, even though I don't care about him and his feelings. It was an above average level of clout hungry
Yeah,
that I
agree.
would call ambitious. You don't need, it doesn't need to be a negative to chase clout.
Right.
There are correct ways to chase clout. There's wrong ways to chase clout. He was paying for it. He wanted me to shout out videos, and he wanted me to shout out his Instagram, and I did. And I think he was at like 11,000 subscribers before anything negative went down. You know, I did videos where I tagged him, and I did the stuff I was supposed to do, which I never got paid for. Which, as a YouTuber who doesn't have a college degree, I'm not a doctor. I don't have shit. I have my following. At the time, that's the only value I had. So I have to leverage that value as much as I can to not get paid for shout outs that I would charge. Let's make them a number, 5 grand for, 10 grand for, to the level that they were. You know, Dollar Shave Club's paying me $3,500 for 15-second clips. You know?
Yeah.
So at 60, 70, 80,000 subs, like a dedicated video at the time, probably 5, 10 grand.
Right.
You
Good
know?
money.
Yeah, good
right.
money. And I did it a couple times and whatever. So when I made that agreement, it was just like, I want this person out of my hair. I think this will profit to a good amount. I could tell you, and I could tell your podcast, I was doing, you know, about $100K profit a giveaway at the time. So there's a chance he would have received $100K or more. That car was really special on the channel. And he said, no, you won't promote it. He said some stupid shit. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't benefit me. I'm not like here to fail. I was like, but okay, give me something in writing. That was it. Just see ya. Last time we really spoke about that matter was 2020. He had called me about like his FD headlights not working, which I didn't touch his headlights, like little stuff like that. And then the night before the video went up, I was in Rudnick's shop and my phone rang and it was him. And I was like, what the fuck's he calling me? And I knew Rudnick had talked to him a little bit. And I was like, you know, why is he calling me? Oh, I don't know. Whatever. I was helping Rudnick do something. And I was walking out the door to go to dinner with my family. It was like 6 or something. So I didn't answer the phone. Which I told you, I always answer the phone.
Yeah.
Now remember, Ian's also in like, you know, he's talking to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like he was only
I
talking to
see.
Tommy.
Yeah, he was talking. I mean, Rudnick had gone down there a couple times.
He was trying to get clout from everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a fucking 2 weeks before the video went up, Rudnick bought a turbo kit from me that Ian paid for.
Wow.
No shit.
You know, so to go back to the Rudnick thing, like Rudnick got a 240 from Ian for free.
Dang. Okay.
Got an S15 engine that I picked up in New York City for free. That was when he had talked to me, like in between that. Oh, give Rudnick that S15 engine. You sure? Yep. Okay, here you go, Rudnick. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
It was Ian's. I'd still had it fucking 4 years later. Gave it to Rudnick. So I find out. So anyway, he calls. I don't answer. I go to dinner. I get home. I'm stoned in bed. I get a text, what are you doing, from him. She's like, it's 9 o'clock. I don't know where this is going. I'll talk to him tomorrow. That was my thought process. I don't need to be in bed with my girlfriend. I'm stoned and I need to get on the phone with this dude.
Right.
Got to talk about God knows what. Like that's not the
fun.
vibe I'm
No.
looking for at 9 o'clock at night. So I don't do it. Next day at noon, video goes live. I grab my phone, freak out, like what the fuck is going on? Text him a bunch, no response. Go over to Rudnick. You knew this was coming. Rudnick looked guilty as hell, and I filmed him. The smartest thing I did, I took out my phone, I filmed him. I said, "Where'd you get the money for the turbo kit?" He goes, "Ian." I said, "Why did another man buy a turbo kit for you?" "I don't know." "Well, how much was a turbo kit?" $4,000. "How much did Ian send you?" $4,400. Dude, it was my story to the fucking T. It's the same fucking story.
That's his game.
And I'm like, yo, why, if I owe this person $180,000, why would they give you money to give to me? If I owed you money and something like that went on, you just call them and go, hey, give them that fucking turbo kit.
Right.
You owe me money.
That's so true.
Sent him the money, gave me the money. Whatever. Not evidence of my innocence, but definitely not evidence of my guilt. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking weird.
Right.
Yeah.
So I start dealing with that whole thing, and come to find out now what basically, and I'm going to say allegedly a lot. Allegedly, there was a meeting of the minds. These people tried to destroy me. This was an attack. In the first video, Ian's wearing a RAV Performance shirt.
Which connects back to him.
Connects back to him and Roberto, who we beefed.
I get dragged into it here.
Oh, yeah. Jack gets dragged in. Rudnick stops talking to Jack because Jack's tight with me. When Jack didn't do anything and Rudnick didn't stop talking to Adam or Jimmy or anyone else, just Jack.
He gave me an ultimatum.
Yeah.
I have it in text.
Pretty much.
He
don't
literally
talk
said,
to him.
if you
That's
are going to
crazy.
continue dealing with Tommy, I can no longer do any business with
Damn.
you.
So now think of this: $4,000 turbo kit, no exchange of services. What could that possibly be for? What did he pay him for?
Right. Well, right. $4,400 is not just a few bucks.
He paid him to be on his side.
Right.
There's more where this comes from if you continue this. Ian told me, I told Chris anything over X number of dollars that we were able to get back from you, I would invest in Rudnick. So there was like a bounty on my head. It was in
Crazy.
his interest to do everything he did. So I find out Rudnick knew. They used to have 5-way phone calls with a couple of fucking shady
5
people. Yeah, 5-way phone calls.
Yeah,
Ian told me all
that's
this
a
stuff.
calculation.
That they were pretty much, put this here in the video, don't put that. Here's the thumbnail. Roberto was a part of it, like the whole thing. And now I'm just like, touche. You know, you guys did good. The video got 330,000 views. Hurt my reputation. And now,
Caused you, obviously.
dude, it fucked me up. Like, it was more. So the bad part was Ian had recorded private phone calls and posted them, which is illegal in my state. But I don't have any insecurity towards what I said on the phone calls. But they were taken out of context.
Big time.
So I said in one of them, the one that's like famous was Rudnick's 20%. It was whatever the fuck I say it is. We were going to make a movie, and he was going to do X amount of work to get his 20%.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't do his X amount of work, he wasn't going to get 20%. That's basically what I was saying. The concern on the phone was, well, what if Chris doesn't do it?
And the concern wasn't even your concern.
It wasn't my concern.
That was what he was trying to convey.
Ian was like, what if Chris doesn't promote it? What if Chris does a bad job? What if Chris... Well, his 20%, what the fuck I say it is, if he doesn't do what he's supposed to, he's not going to get 20%.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it.
But it sounded like I was saying, I'm going to tell him what 20% is, or
I
not going to
see.
tell him what 20% is and make up my own 20%.
Didn't he end up getting more anyway?
Which is fine. I didn't want him to know what numbers are because I always would dad him, right? I'd be like, well, you didn't do what you're supposed to. You're getting 10%, and I'd give him 20%.
I see.
So, and that's what I did. I said,
you got to tell the horn button story sometimes.
yeah, I will tell the hormone story. So I was like, yeah, I gave him 24% of the profits. Told him it was not 20. Didn't tell him the percentage. He was pissed. But I was trying to teach him a lesson. Do what you're fucking supposed to. I gave you 5 tasks. You did 2. You know, like.
Yeah.
But I still gave him the 20%. Unknown to him. He would never know this. I don't care if I can prove it. I've had to prove it in legal ways. So I was able to do that. But no insecurity about any of that shit. But anyway, it's all over now. It's been resolved. You'll notice there's no videos. You'll notice the other party's no longer speaking about it.
Yeah.
take away from whatever you want. I didn't owe him 180 grand. I said it from the beginning. I didn't pay him 180 grand or anything even close to that. And at the end of the day, it was a dispute that got turned into a scandal that really could have just been solved so much easier for everyone had it gone through the proper channels, like I was telling you with Calapo.
Right.
You know what I mean? There is due process. You're not supposed to just go slander and defame people on the internet without working all that out, you know?
Yeah. In 2025, it's so quick for people to just jump on the internet and try to slander somebody, when in reality, if you had gone the legal route, well, you would have probably gotten shut down, and that's why he didn't want to do that.
You have to show receipts.
Or he could have given me the thing in writing, like I asked for, and we could have arrived somewhere without attorneys. The whole time, I'm burning attorney money to do something that I could do over the phone very easily.
Yeah.
My attorney was just on the phone getting paid. He wasn't giving input. He was on mute. He had to be there. His attorney had to be there.
Pretty sure attorneys made the most money.
Attorneys made out the best, and they always do.
That's what's crazy. Yeah.
So that attorney, Ira Meyerowitz, he's a gangster. He's a defamation attorney. He's the best. He's dealing with Calapo now.
Oh, okay. So he's on his case.
He's going to
now.
get Calapo's car back.
That's cool. That's good to hear, because that guy's cool as hell.
That's going to be really good.
I've got a whole video filmed from Calapo from 2 years ago. I've got this whole fucking thing documented. So
wow.
that video will be cool, and I like helping Skyline people out in situations like that. I like helping anyone out in any situation, but that's going to be a fun one, not for Calapo, but for everyone else.
Yeah,
because it's juicy.
He was wronged pretty hard.
Super hard.
Yeah. So all that stuff's behind us. We no longer have that black cloud. The videos are deleted. 330,000 people saw them. And now my task is going and knocking on every 330,000 people's door and saying, hey, all that stuff you heard, 6% of it was true.
Yeah.
10% of it was semi-true and twisted, and the other rest is fucking garbage, made up, conjured together to hurt me because these people thought it would elevate them. That's the only thing I can think. I don't understand another reason to do it. I talk a lot of shit. Roberto famously...
Winter's coming.
Yeah, Roberto famously talked shit back to me about how I made my career off talking shit. But I've never defamed somebody.
Right. There's a difference.
There is a huge difference. And what they did was defamation per se, which is a different game. So another part of this learning process would be there's defamation, which is just saying something untrue in a malicious way. And there's defamation per se, which is saying untrue in a malicious way that is it's not disputable. If I call somebody a thief, it's defamation per se. You need to be proven to be a thief.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
If I go around and say, hey, this dude's a fucking thief, don't fuck with him, I'm hurting your reputation off something you've never been convicted of. It's a complete lie. The craziest example of that is if you call a girl a whore.
Oh, wow.
That's defamation per se.
That's crazy. Never even thought about it like that.
If you call a girl a whore, you're basically accusing her of having sex for money. It's defamation per se. It's a crime. Calling someone a pedophile, anything like that, it's defamation per se. You don't need to prove anything. You need to prove that I'm whatever you called me.
I see, yeah.
It gets way spicier. Normally in defamation, I need to prove your statement's wrong or a lie. That's a hard task to do.
Oh, from your side.
From my side, if it's defamation per se, you need to prove that your statement's true. So and the crazy thing with civil stuff is it's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's more than 50%. So like in a court, if you're a criminal, it's like beyond a reasonable doubt. It's pretty much 100%.
Right.
Everyone needs to agree you're a criminal. In civil suits, it's 51%.
Oh, wow.
So you don't need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. You just need to kind of have a good case.
Yeah.
Which I had a really good case because I was able to pick apart everything said about me. And like I said, 90% of it was untrue. Whatever I said, the numbers that Ira wants to do a podcast, my attorney, because he just wants to he knows the case better than me. He's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And he likes it. Like I'm passionate about Skylines. He's passionate about suing people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, everybody's got their thing.
It's fucking sick, But anyway, it was a shitty 2 years, but it got us. I would think it strengthened the shop, and we got Andrew, our business partner, during that time, and I'm forever grateful for all that situation. So while it was the hardest time of my life to deal with, because it was like everything I had worked for was taken like that.
Damn, yeah.
And like I try to tell all these other YouTubers, like, you know,
Be careful.
be careful. Get NDAs, get contracts, get this, get that. And the internet is so funny with NDAs. They think it's some bad thing. You own a business. I don't know if anyone knows, but do you have NDAs? And
Yeah, like we're currently in the process of selling like our whole corporation. So in that sense, you have to have an NDA to even talk to us about anything, period. And then if you want to know numbers, there's a stronger NDA that's going to get signed to make sure that you're not going to go tell Billy Bob over here what our numbers are.
And the reason being because you can like leverage people's numbers.
Yep.
You know, it's like you go buy a car and you go to 2 dealers. You're like, well, they said they do it for 13. You know what I mean? Like that's like the oldest thing.
The internet will think you're evil for having those.
Yeah.
NDAs.
So those NDAs, the internet. I mean, I don't know who these people are. I'd imagine the people who speak the loudest are like McDonald's employees that don't know.
They never even seen one. They don't understand.
They think it's like a prenup, which is I also kind of agree with prenups, by the way. So, but I think NDAs, they're there to protect people in emotional times.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you do something, you're pissed off and you want to tell everyone your business. Maybe that NDA, it's like a lock on a door. Like I can get in that door, but that lock's supposed to make me think and show intent. If at this point I caught that lock, I obviously broke it.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing with an NDA. You break that NDA, you knew it was there, you fucking signed it.
And let's be honest, the only reason you would break an NDA like that is to hurt someone.
Is to hurt someone.
To be negative.
To use it as a weapon.
So if you don't plan to hurt someone, you should have no problem signing that NDA.
It's the same thing with a prenup.
Yeah.
If you truly are going to stay together forever, you sign a prenup. If you're not, you should be cool with leaving what you fucking came with or what you earned.
That's so
you
true.
know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that makes sense. And it's really just saying you're going to keep shit to yourself.
You're
going to
be
be
honest.
a big mouth. Yeah.
You're not going to be a scumbag.
Yeah.
It's an anti-scumbag clause in your fucking contract where you're not going to intentionally fuck somebody over, you know? So I think NDAs are great.
So okay, so you're done with that. That guy's in the
drama.
past. You're starting to climb back up the hill. You're getting, your I don't want to say confidence, but obviously that brings you down when somebody takes you to that level.
It made me uncomfortable on anyone else's channel. I was always still perfectly comfortable on my own, but if I was on Larry Chen's or Adam's, there'd be those fucking, I don't know what level of swearing I could do on this podcast. There'd be those cocksuckers that would fucking try to jam up their videos.
Yeah.
And that made me like, I don't know if the word sad makes sense, but it made me like sad for those people. Because I was like, I felt super uncomfortable bringing that negativity to them.
People were trying to convict everyone for association.
Yeah.
So you almost feel like a burden because now these comments are coming.
Me personally, like, I have no problem calling it as it is. If I saw a problem, if I saw an issue, I'd be like, okay, well, that's an issue.
And we have a relationship where he could say that, and I'd be like, and I wouldn't just go, Jack, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Think about it. You know what I mean?
You take it in.
Take it in. If Jack's coming to me with that, maybe I did do something wrong.
Right. Exactly. And people were coming to me and they're like, "You're a scumbag for supporting Tommy.
Right.
You're terrible."
And I know LZ.
We're not going to go to your shop anymore. You're basically they were trying to cancel me
by
default,
association.
just because I was standing behind him because I knew the truth.
And I knew those conversations, but I don't know them with Larry or Adam or her or any of those people. So I'm like, well, if Jack's getting those, Adam's getting them, TJ's getting them, all these other people are getting them, that fucking sucks. I wouldn't want to fuck with me either if that. Luckily, they're decent friends. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. Like, luckily, they're decent friends. They really didn't give a fuck. You know, for the majority of it, like, Adam was a little, distant in the beginning just in his YouTube channel, not like personally. I called Adam the day it happened, but like TJ was really cool. Everyone was really cool, and the people that weren't, I knew who they fucked with and where their loyalty was. But yeah, so I got out of that. I was uncomfortable in people's videos, but I knew I had to not crawl into a hole and die.
Right.
Because
that ends.
Everyone
everything.
wins. They get what they wanted.
That doesn't fix anything.
So I just dug deeper and just kept going with this place. Kind of put my focus on this instead of YouTube. Kind of took a distance myself a little from YouTube. I don't know if you've seen the videos. Have slowed down quite a bit.
Yeah, that was a question. So that's directly related because you had the opportunity.
It wasn't. It was related. My channel was unaffected. I lost some subs, 15,000 subs or whatever.
Right.
But my channel was unaffected, and if it was affected, I could delete a comment. I could police, you know. But it was more, I don't want to focus on it. It takes up all your time. It takes all your money. So if I'm not making too much from Ad Rev and I'm not out there doing stuff with Larry and doing all this, I don't really want to put $500K into my channel this year. I'd rather just put the money in my pocket and work on my shop, right? Like, and all those like fans that you think are loyal, I don't say all of them, a good number, or what I perceived as a good number of them turned on me quickly. Oh, okay. Right? Yeah. You know, you see, if you get 50,000 views and then you see this video get 330, which I don't, what the fuck's going on? And then you see the comments, 2,000 comments, and it's like, okay. Some of these people I thought were fans. There was giveaway winners trying to talk shit, like just trying to talk shit, not even really doing a good job. Oh, he did this, and the car took 3 days to get delivered instead of 2. You know, like it was just like, how can I fit myself into this? And
this guy cut me at Dairy Queen.
I saw one that was like, you know, I was at Adam LZ's and I was filming and I was in an area that no one was supposed to be in, and Tommy came to me and said, "Who the fuck are you?" And that never fucking happened.
You just wanted to get in there.
I was laughing.
They were literally writing fan fictions.
Yeah.
You know,
which is fun to read. But so anyway, I stepped back from YouTube because it costs a lot of money. While the marketing's great for the shop, it would cost me too much money to not get the return that I was getting. Giveaways got hurt very badly, which was my main source of spending extra. Doing good giveaways, being able to do good giveaways costs a lot of money, you know? So anyway, I killed a revenue stream quite a bit, stepped back, focused on the shop. And now the shop has a functioning machine shop, a dyno, the restoration shop, the paint shop. Like, we're now fully operational. And I probably wouldn't have been able to do all that and plan it all without stepping back from YouTube. So it was kind of like a good double-edged sword, you know? The machine shop, people take years to set them up. We set the thing up in like 3-4 months.
Yeah, he was saying earlier, it was like next day, you know, and you have a really good guy working in there as well, not just trying to figure it out.
We have 2 good guys, JP and Travis. Travis is like the muscle. He does the bottom ends. He's really experienced. JP's more like book smart. He's experienced as well, but he knows more technical information.
They have complementary skills.
Yeah, they really do complement each other a lot. They butt heads, but they complement each other. They complement each other a lot. Travis is the hammer, JP's the more of the scalpel, you know, and they're good in there. And then we got the guys in the restoration shop. We got paint, you know, we got all that. So basically, we can do everything.
So you're full service at this point. Yeah. So somebody can bring a completely stock, maybe a little bit of rust car here, come back when it's ready and it's fully restored. I don't ever want to compare myself to anyone in that way, quality, any of that stuff. We do what Built by Legends does, except we do it all. Instead of Built by Legends is more like what I've understood as like a curator. Yeah.
So they're like, hey, come to us and we will be your point of contact and we'll get some profit in the process. I'm Built by Legends in my shop. You know what I mean? You come to me, I tell you all the things that Mines would tell you or GarageSZero would tell you. And you know, and it's like that.
They're almost like a general contractor and subbing it out, and you're like the all-in-one guy.
So Jack used to call me the wedding planner,
right?
That's what I did.
You probably throw a sick wedding though.
I probably. But yeah, like that's what I like. So it's like now we've kind of gotten to the point where we're like wash, rinse, repeating the same build, but it's because they work so fucking. Just like UP Garage, you went and saw those guys. I talked to Doug and Eric, Jack and I. We talked to them daily.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Me and Eric talk all the time. We shipped Eric out to GTR Festival because he wasn't going to come. You know, and
super cool guys,
super fun.
He gave you major props on that. He said the same story. Well, he's like, Tommy made me go down there, showed me the time of his life, and said the same thing. You guys are kind of sharing knowledge across coasts.
Exactly. He'll call me and be like, have you ever had this happen? And so this was a good one. The other day, I saw his post about like R34 sitting in Japan. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So he said like they're rusty in the cylinders, right? And he thinks it's from sitting. And I'm like, I think it's from the different metallurgy in the newer blocks. Higher iron content, something like that. And he's like,
I see.
I never fucking thought it. You know, so like that's the type of conversations we have where he's so sure our car's sitting in Japan longer. And I'm like, no, there's got to be a more like technical reason for this, or it could be switched.
You can see that even in cars here. You can see where they've changed the metal. Like you can pop the hood, and you notice like some cars have like flaky corrosion all over.
Yep.
You know, and these
they change
are
some process.
Yeah, they're the same exact car in the same exact plant, just a different
conditions,
compound.
maybe, and different
Like a
materials.
different content.
Right,
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
content in the metal. And
Yeah,
stuff
so
like that,
so talking like that, or if we have a tuning problem, or if they have a tuning problem, it's just awesome to have like a homie shop. So we brought him out, and it was so funny. I don't know how much he told you about GTR Festival, but Eric and Doug don't fuck around.
Right.
They don't fuck around.
No.
They don't jump in their car and fuck around. They
Right.
get in the car. It's a customer car. They rev it out and do all that stuff. So we're 10 deep, driving through downtown Dallas, fucking making a bunch of cars making 600 to 800 horsepower. Hertz there. Adam's in my backseat live streaming while we're doing 120 through downtown fucking Dallas.
Surreal.
Like,
Damn.
it's a vibe. And Doug's like, I've never done it. Or Eric's like, I've never done anything like that. You know, like, you guys are fucking nuts. I'm like, dude, we got to use them.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and that was my big. Did you go to GTR Festival?
No, we didn't get to make it.
You fucked up.
Yeah.
It was actually good. And
After
I'm
I
not a-
saw it, I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, you got to go this
It
year.
was crazy because it wasn't just the show; it was the whole vibe.
Well, that's
Right.
what like got me tight is I went out there. I brought my 33. I brought my crew. We brought all our cars. We were like prepared. And I'm like, okay, it's nighttime now. I can unpark my car. I'm not here
Yeah.
to be
The-
parked.
the second half of the event. was-
Yeah, like this is where the shops
yeah.
get to go fucking prove who's
But
the big
it's
dick.
like
is.
it's
Yeah.
like Texas 2K.
Yeah.
At night they go out on Katy and they do these big, street
Runs,
races
yeah.
and stuff, right?
So that's what we were trying to do, and weirdly enough, everyone to get in their F-250 and drive to their Super 8 motel. No
Really?
one was out. Yeah, go to Texas Roadhouse or whatever. No one was out. No one was out in the streets.
Damn.
Dude, we jumped in our cars. We had our truck following us with 50-gallon drum and V85 because Dallas was an hour from where we were. We went to dinner
You
with
had the chase truck.
Tamura and Yaska
Dude,
from Top
we
Rank.
drove like over 100 miles.
Yeah, we drove over 100 miles, like beating the fuck out of our cars. That we built them all.
Those
You
are
know?
like what you live for. Those are like
Dude.
those memories. Like, dude, remember the first GTR
Yeah.
festival? We fucking killed it.
We killed it. And
Yeah.
like I told Hawkins, because me and Hawkins are tight, even though
Yeah.
he's a fucking Aussie fuck.
Yeah. yeah.
I was like, yo, I want to handle the like after hour stuff. And he's like, it's yours.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to talk shit on the internet to another shop. I've talked shit to Roberto since then. So Roberto's now owns a shop. He's my number one enemy. He's my, what is it, OP?
He's your op.
He's my
yeah.
op. Yeah. He's my op. What does it stand for?
Opposition.
Opposite. I thought
Yeah.
so. Because someone was saying opponent or something. Yeah, he's my opposition.
thing.
Yeah.
He's
straight
my
up.
fucking opposition. So I was like, where were you? He's talking shit in the GTR. Where the fuck were you at GTR Festival? You know, we were, end of the night, we'd all roll out, fucking 10 deep. Everyone get in their tow truck and go to bed. You know, so I liked that we showed out the way we did. I think we
Yeah.
did it right. We were able to fucking do after hour stuff. And that's
Right.
what I want to see from this year.
If you went to the event, like it was a drag race, right?
Yeah.
And so you got a limited amount of performance testing or whatever you want. It was just like going down a drag strip.
Yeah.
If you went out at night and followed all of our skylines, you got to see these things hammering.
Shooting flames, just
Hammering.
fucking around. And
Everybody.
we're with a responsible group of fucking
Right.
assholes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Experienced assholes
Yeah.
for
The
sure.
scariest thing
Responsible,
is
but,
when you
but
get
ignorant.
the scariest thing is when you get the guy who's not responsible
Yeah.
asshole. So I was thankful that our crew stayed good and stayed away from that shit. But it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And you got to go. You got to go this year.
Yeah.
Bring your car.
Got to bring it. Yeah, for sure. Because after seeing that, it's always like that the first year of like an event.
It's hit or
like
miss.
that.
First year is either a fucking dud or it's the biggest one and everyone's chasing it forever.
Forever.
You know.
Yeah.
I hope year 2 is the biggest one and everyone's chasing that forever. Because
Right.
I don't think it could get much better. Not that it's bad. It's one of the greatest events in the way that, like, I guess that I just had fun. You know, I didn't care about really what went on between 9 and 5 o'clock. It was
Right.
just
That
whatever.
was like business.
I got to
Right.
talk to people. People got to see the car in person. I got a lot of holy shit. The internet doesn't do it justice. You know, like that type of shit. We swept the competition. You know, we swept the car show side of it. Which
Yeah.
I got best GTR Bay, We got best non-GTR with the yellow car. We got best non-GTR Bay with the yellow car, which we built that car for GTR Festival just to flex. Yeah. I'll show it to you after. We got best 33. Our buddy in our booth got best 34. You know, we got like 5 or 6 out of the 12 awards. So then
you got flack though.
Yeah, so we're in this GTR group on Facebook, and I was waiting because I was a judge of the car show, but I didn't pick my car for anything. That's weird.
That's lame.
It's not like I'm gonna, my 33, you know what I mean? But like at the same time, some of the categories were actually hard to find a winner that I agreed with. You know, like we didn't agree on the best of show. I didn't agree, but per their parameters, it made sense. Yeah. So their parameters are. Is everything touched? Is everything touched to a good level or a decent level? Does the car have like a vibe? And are they a shop or a person? Everyone would lean more towards people because if a shop wins, that's what's unfortunate about us. If a shop wins, well, they've got all the resources. They should have the best cars.
Right.
You know?
That makes sense, yeah.
The car that won, I didn't agree with a couple things, but I had to say I had to agree. You know, it was like a jury. We all had to agree on everything. When they said best 33 Bay, I wasn't arguing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No.
But at the same time.
But you also did suggest other cars.
I did. I was like, well, this one was pretty good. You know, I like that. I forget his Instagram, but I liked his car. I liked a couple cars, but it was like, so I don't vote for mine. Here's my choice if mine wasn't here, you know, or if I can't vote for mine. And I did that every time, and they'd be like, no yours, or no this, or no that. So we swapped it. It was good for business, but with that cloud of that nonsense, the business does have quite an uphill battle every time we try to pitch some stuff. And I just gotta fucking let our work do the talking instead of try to salesman anyone on anything. I don't need to prove to you I didn't do that shit. I don't need to prove to you I'm not a scam or whatever the fuck else was said. I don't need to do that. If you like the work, you like the cars, it's a no-brainer, you know? Yeah. Like Calapo, you saw Calapo's car. That was a bone stock Series 3, and it's fucking sick now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is for sure nice, which is awesome because that guy's obviously been through the ringer. So for him to send his car over to you and have it come out.
I don't want to say too much, but we're thinking of doing something for him. I feel bad also doing something special for him because he got fucked by somebody else.
Right.
But at the same time, if I can do something cool for one of our customers who supported us, he's definitely in the top 2 who I would choose. Yeah. You know what I mean? He supported us. He's been patient. He listened to me when I said his first car was junk. You know, things like that. And I don't know. Whatever we can do for him, we're going to try to do.
That's human stuff, right? Real stuff for sure. And so would you say, because obviously I don't want to say, you're like a brash type of guy when it comes to your opinion, right?
Sure.
And sure, you could say talking shit is what got you noticed. But having those standards is kind of what's gotten you here, right?
That's what it is. It's not being brash or being an asshole or being fucking a loudmouth. That was never my intention. My biggest downfall and strength at the same time was I saw it as YouTube. I saw it as my tube. So
my tube.
Yeah,
okay.
it's my tube. So if you're a fucking food critic and I see you stuffing your face with McDonald's, I don't really know if I can trust your judgment in that way. So the idea with being brash or being a shit talker was I'm just telling you guys my standards in the way I know how to, showing you my standards in the way I know how to, so that you can either vibe with me or not vibe with me. Mm-hmm. I gave you all of me in what mattered, which was cars. I don't want to tell you about my personal life or my I gave you all of me. This sucks. This is cool. Black and white. People know. FES spec I didn't come up with. FES spec was the viewers.
Oh,
they
okay.
would say that's FES spec. That's how that just started.
Oh,
that wasn't me. I didn't even think of that term.
You didn't coin it for yourself.
No, it was just. And I was like,
the best ones are brought on by people who observe you too.
Yeah. And I grew up skateboarding.
Yep.
Self-promotion is very, very frowned upon in the standards. I think skateboarding gave me my car pieces because in skateboarding the standards. Yep. You land a kickflip and your toe drags, you land a kickflip and it's ugly, you go do it again or you don't fucking put the content out. If it doesn't look good, it's not worth doing. You know? So Those standard, mall grab. I don't know if you guys follow skateboarding.
Yeah.
You don't do those things, and those are the standards that skateboarders have, and everyone sees it as bullying, because I have a son now, and I'm like telling him, like, don't fucking mall grab, and it's like, oh, who cares, And I'm like, no, you don't fucking mall grab. You don't get on his longboard. You know what I mean? You don't do these things.
Don't be pushing Mongo.
Yeah, don't be pushing Mongo. Fuck God, if I had a Mongo kid,
Oh no.
put him up for adoption. No, but yeah, those standards are like brought me to the standards of the cars. I think
It kind of makes sense. It
gave
does
you
translate.
rules. I think if you don't hate shit, you can't love it.
Yeah.
Right? You got to hate something to love the opposite.
That's true.
If a lot of YouTubers, I love to talk shit to Dustin Williams. Everything's amazing.
Everything is a dream.
Everything's
is
a
what is
dream.
going on.
That's a dream. This is my
Such a
dream
good
mug.
vibe.
I'm drinking my dream seltzer. No, like, and I get that clickbait. It works.
Yeah.
But, like, that actually is him. He'll walk in here. I'd love, touch everything. And, like, he's like a fucking kid when it comes to that stuff. It is all amazing. He's not been jaded or ruined yet by people like me.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you know the Dustin story, but, like, I started my relationship with Dustin talking shit.
Wow.
He would post, like, he got his 33. This is my favorite story. So he got his 33, and he had, like, a spat, like the stock spats. There's a fucking drywall screw through one of them holding on.
Oh, wow.
So he's filming, he's like, oh, I got the spats, and he gets close enough, and I'm like, then he's like, fucking with the antenna. He's like, oh, this thing's got an aux cord, like the aux antenna. Like,
Yeah.
It's got an aux cord, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. So I make, like, posts on Instagram, like, look at this fucking idiot, like, he called his exhaust Jasma, just like fun stuff. So one day I'm like, somebody sends me his thing and he's like, oh guys, the 32 still isn't done, this and that. And I'm like, I'm like, dude, this is getting like sad. I can't even talk shit about you anymore because you can't get your fucking car done. I was like, bring it out here, we'll finish it. That's all I said.
Damn.
He's like, you serious? I was like, yeah. 2 days later, he showed up, drove across country. We did his car in like 4 days. And this is a fun story. So he had a stock engine that someone had put adjustable cam gears on. So when we took his engine out of his car, it was like installed. The cam gears were installed. Things were installed. But he had never had any head work done, no head gasket. We pulled his engine out to prep his bay. We didn't paint it, but to like do his bay. And we had his head worked on. We put the cams back in, put the car together. My tech at the time didn't think to check the 4 foot-pounds or inch-pounds of pressure you need on the cam gear screws because it was an adjustable cam gear.
And they were pre-installed.
They were pre-installed.
Yeah.
If they were in the box, they get checked,
Yeah.
So anyway, goes to the dyno, and he blows it up on the dyno. Now everyone's blaming me. So my first thing is like, what the fuck? I call Eric. I call Eric and Doug. I'm like, hey, this is what happened. And they're like, well, that's not your fault. And I was like, well, apparently we left the cam gears. So like, so? They said we do that all. That's happened to us before. They're not all the time. It's happened to us before. You can't blow up a car with that. He's like, you can't blow up a car with that unless you start tuning for it. And now this is our tuner, so he can explain to you how you can tune for a swinging cam gear. If it swings one way and you make a bunch of compensations for that, and then it swings the other way, now you're 5 degrees in the 10 degrees in the opposite direction.
Depending on the trigger system and everything, for the RB26s, the trigger system, it has a cam sensor.
Yeah.
And that sensor takes care of your ignition timing. It's not on the crank. So if your cam timing starts to waver because of the gear, your ignition timing is going to be off.
Now a tuner that can't get their desired ignition timing because it's moving would do what?
Try to figure out. Well, he would try to move. If you're a lazy tuner and you're looking at the power and you're like, okay, well, I added 2 degrees and it's responding. I'm gonna add 2 more, it's responding. I keep going and going and going, and then that thing swings or moves and adds another 15 or 20 without you knowing. Boom.
Yeah.
That's the end.
So, but while you're in the lower, safer timing, you should be chasing, which they were, moving timing.
Right.
You can tell it's moving.
Right.
So you should be chasing that. If
If
base
you-
timing isn't correct, you'll do timing and it'll do one thing, one pull. Then you'll do it again, and because it swung the other way, now it makes power. And you're like, what? And I talked to Eric, and he's like, dude, that happened to us. We knew almost instantly what it was. We got out. We fixed it the first time it happened. A tuner should not have tuned through a swinging cam gear.
Right. Should have been a red flag.
So the internet blames me. It's a couple of fucking people that don't know what they're talking about blame me. That's fine. It wasn't our fault. But Dustin's car now ran and it hasn't run in 2 years. Whether we blew the motor or not, at least it ran.
Right. Yeah,
So I sold him another engine for cheap. I had him ship his car back. We put that engine in. We took care of our work. And then, did we tune that one? I don't know. I don't know who tuned it, but the car's still together. It's done track days. You can kind of get an idea, like, if we were habitually blowing motors,
Right.
like, it's like, how is he still good? Dustin doesn't have the highest automotive aptitude. Love Dustin to death.
Right,
He's
right.
not a technical guy. He's not in the shop fucking wrenching on shit, knowing he's abusive and he's a track driver. So that 32 has been put through its paces. It's a stock engine. We didn't like build the engine. We did timing belt, water pump. We rebuilt the head and sent him on his way. So he's good. We got Larry Chen's car on the road. No issues. Adam's 32 gets hammered, ran really good times at ours day.
Did you do his dad's too?
We did his dad's. That's
Yeah,
still
that's cool.
rolling. Hertz engine, Hertz second engine. Hurt got crank walk. So like you could grab his crank,
Oh,
thrust
wow.
bearings were gone.
That's insane.
So we just threw a stock one in there and let him go. But we have a 2.8 for him. TJ Hunt's car is another fun one. He money shifted. Some people try to blame me for that.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Well, obviously.
The dude went 1-2-1, and I think his log said he hit like 12.6.
Holy shit.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
Imagine
like,
that.
but like nothing was wrong. So that's a funny story that never really got out there. I don't even think TJ said it. He money shifted, and the car started acting funny. So I was like, well, you're too far away. You just got the car back. I've got an HKS crate motor. We'll send you a crate motor, put it in, put all our shit on, drop it back in. You're good to go. You don't have to worry about our shoddy machining to the internet
Yeah.
things, whatever. Yeah. So he does that. Car still doesn't run right.
Dang.
So I call his tech, who I had a little bit of a problem with because he's fucking got an ego.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's up with the car? And he's like, he starts talking shit about some wiring on a flex fuel sensor. I'm like, Ian, go figure, his name's Ian. I said, Ian, we built that car in 5 days. If like a flex fuel sensor pin is loose or something, just tighten it up, put it back in. Like, this isn't a customer build that we took our time on. Like, we banged this the fuck out to get TJ2 grid life. We were here.
Oh, okay.
Dude, that whole thing was crazy. So we were here, we did it, whatever. Flex fuel wiring or something was loose. Anyway, come to find out, Ian never told me, or Jack.
Well, you can see, by the way, in TJ's video how good the car ran.
Yeah, the car, he beat Adam.
Oh, okay.
We finished his car. I taught TJ how to brake boost, and then he went and raced Adam and beat him
Drove it to the track.
Damn.
to the street, to the
Yeah.
track. Yeah,
Yeah,
They
yeah,
did
to
like
the track,
20 hits. He beat Adam every fucking time.
Oh, wow.
I taught him how to brake boost on this road, and then we went to Sally's and we stopped the whole highway. Me and Grant
Oh,
stopped
nice.
the highway.
That's
I
the
was in the
best.
turbo. Grant was in the M3. We stopped the highway. These dudes ran. Oh, and our buddy Kane was way up front. They did it 10 times. TJ kept beating them. Okay.
Damn, Adam
So
must have
then,
been
so
pissed.
TJ money shifted in Cali, whatever, gets a crate motor. So while we're trying to solve this, he puts a crate motor in, the car still running like shit. I'm like, well, guys, told you it wasn't the engine. D Sport tried to say it was some machining with the engine. I don't fucking know. I was like, guys, it's not the engine. He money shifted. So the car's still running like exactly the same shit after the money shift. And Ian's like, well, I popped. I noticed twice that the main fuse was popped. And I'm like, why didn't you tell us this? Come to find out, there was somewhere in the wiring, it was backfeeding. The main fuse at the battery had popped. The coils were getting, 38 volts or something?
Yeah, they were
Oh,
being
wow.
oversupplied.
Dude, so what would happen was these coils would charge up with 38 volts and just randomly fire whenever it wanted.
Which they have. So there's a table. There's a spec for the coil. When the coils are charged at a certain voltage, they can provide a certain amount of spark in a certain amount of time.
I see.
So it effectively changes your timing.
yeah, it changes
That makes
everything.
sense.
So it would literally just fire off whenever it wanted, and the car would
Holy
sputter, then it would run good, and then it would come to find out what had happened was when he money shifted, this is all theory, but
Right.
it's pretty good. He overspun the alternator, which did something to the battery. It killed a cell in the battery.
Oh, okay.
That's all it was.
Whoa.
They
Dang.
fucking put a new battery in. Car ran beautiful. They obviously still have some backfeeding issue because when the fuse was popped, the car would still run.
Oh, all right.
But they had some backfeeding issue, but the whole time it was a bad Optima battery.
Wow, it was just a cell, and that was creating the messed up voltage.
Huge
Dang.
problems.
And the alternator was
didn't-
probably damaged
And,
too.
and it's
Right.
funny because I remember I mentioned something too, because I was like, every single time that I would talk to him about trying to get the car going, they were jump starting the car.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's wrong with this battery, dude? Like what are we doing?
That's
Put
a
a tender
common
on it.
issue. You
Yeah.
know, we have
Oh,
a
yeah.
dead battery.
Oh,
It
yeah.
causes some
But
fucking problem.
It didn't make any sense for that battery to go bad in the course of a week.
Right.
Right.
You know, it was like that was a good battery here, and now all of a sudden he's like, oh well, maybe we left the key on or something.
Yeah.
Every single time, I'm like, dude, there's something wrong with this battery.
They'd be driving around with a jump pack in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. Been there.
Yeah.
We all have. So TJ's now got a crate motor. He's good to go. He's got our build. The car's beautiful, runs good. But he got it retuned by I don't even need to name who he got it retuned by. And the car is much slower than it was when it was here.
I see.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
And it's because this tuner supposedly tuned safe and tuned soft and
Conservative.
California tuning.
conservative.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We
It's
don't
the carb,
like
right?
we don't like conservative.
Yeah.
We don't like it. It's because conservative is scared, right?
Right.
If you're conservative, I don't like dangerous. I don't tell. There's
Right.
been one time when I told Jack to go. It's on camera. We made 992 wheel.
Damn.
You know, so but I don't like dangerous. I don't
Right.
want my customer calling me, oh, the fucking thing blew up. Thanks a lot. Like, I don't want that. But I also don't want, we're not building a car to hit boost later, to fucking be less responsive, to make less boost than it can. Like,
I have a
the
stock.
fuck are we
I have a
doing?
stock RB26 in my Skyline making 660 to the wheels. Like if we're not
and it
doing
gets
that,
the shit kicked out of it.
yeah,
you know?
exactly. It beat it up, and so if we're not doing that with a 2.8 and all this
Right.
crazy stuff on top, what are we doing?
Right.
What's
yeah,
the
yeah.
point?
Wasting
You know, like
money.
his car right now is maybe making 550, I would say, on ethanol. I'd bet it's tuned down that much. And I bet you it was, if you threw it on our dyno, I mean, Bowman's made 680. You know, so I bet you
Yeah.
he's lost 100
Yeah.
wheel because it's not safe. And the tuner said they want to add some sensors or something, whatever. So anyway, TJ's a happy customer. We talk to him all the time. He knows it wasn't us. I think while it was going on, I wouldn't say he was neutral. He wasn't like, I know it's not you guys, but he wasn't like, it was definitely fucking you
Right.
guys.
He was waiting
getting,
to find out.
well, he's getting info from his tech who I didn't get along with well, and he was getting info from me. And I'm fucking 3,000 miles away fighting his tech who's putting hands on stuff.
Right.
And still at the end of the day, he showed his ass when he said he kept popping that fuse. I was like, dude, you need to tell us stuff like that. It's like, oh, well, I just throw a new fuse in it. Oh, I'm like, it's like some crazy fuse. What do you think that fuse is?
That's not normal.
It's like 75 amps. or
Yeah, it's
something, right?
huge. It's huge.
yeah.
So
It's
I'm
like
like,
a main breaker.
you got a major issue there. So anyway, so his car's good. Now I'm kind of bummed that the engine didn't get to see the light because I bet you that engine was perfectly fine. They took it apart looking for a problem. D Sport did it, and there was nothing that they could pinpoint was a problem.
Yeah, he was even measuring the bore.
Yeah, he measured the bore without a
incorrectly.
torque plate.
Yeah.
So like
Oh,
you
I
understand
see.
a torque plate.
Yeah.
So if you have this cell phone and you have holes in it and you measure it, it's good. If it twists this, you're not going to get an accurate measurement. So you can't measure and you can't hone without a torque plate because
Right.
you want
Simulated
that thing
head
flat.
bolted.
Yeah.
You want it flat so
That's
you can,
why it's so thick and heavy.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he sent pictures of him measuring it without torque plate, and we're like,
Your measurements.
That's useless, you know?
Those were good measurements without a torque plate.
yeah, they were without
They
a
were
torque plate.
correct.
They were a little oval, which is common.
Which is common, which is correct.
But that's why I love having Doug and Eric because I can go, hey, look at this. Not bait him, and Eric go, he's measuring that without a torque plate, and I go, exactly. You know,
Yeah.
or this tuner blew up Dustin's car with a can, you know, whatever. And well, we would have discovered that, and 5 degrees can't blow your engine. You know, just shit like that it's nice to be able to bounce off those guys, and they have the same thing from us. You know,
Yeah, having that reliable like industry connection that's not competition.
Yeah, which I prefer. It depends on the people. I'm enemies with everyone I'm supposed to be enemies, and I'm friends with everyone I'm supposed to be friends with. That's how I think of it anyway.
Makes
you know?
sense.
If I didn't like Doug or Eric, they would easily be compartmentalized into people that I talk shit about.
And you would know.
And they'd know. Yeah,
You
they
would
know.
know.
You would know.
But I think anyone, the moment you're unteachable, you become useless. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm still
100%.
always trying to get him to do.
I
he's trying to
learn
get
every
me.
day.
We're
Every
just,
day.
my text. I'm like, if you're fighting with your girlfriend, stay the fuck home.
Right. Yeah,
just-
because you're gonna be useless.
You're gonna be
here.
useless. You know. So I don't know. I like where we're at. I would like more. I'd like to do more. I'd like people with, I don't want to say higher budgets. We don't make any more money whether you spend $500K here or $50K here, pretty much.
Right.
You know, like, so we're doing the same amount of labor. It's just you either have cooler parts or more basic parts, or you need more parts or you need less parts. I would love more higher budgets.
Right.
So what we're moving towards right now, which I'm really excited about, I don't know if you saw the KN6 car on the other side of the parking lot.
Yeah, out there.
Yeah. I want to do a turnkey car. So I don't want to have a customer bring me a car and me be at there fucking, okay, yeah, hi, sorry, your brakes are not done. Or I'd rather build a car, put some, I don't want to say absurd price on it, you know, put some reasonable price, but still cheaper than all our competition, but it's actually fast. Mm-hmm. You know, like, not to talk shit about Blood by Legends at all. Love everything they're doing. My business partner has one coming.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to compare it to what we do, what I like. And, you know, power levels, it's going to go right under main line, right off the truck. It's going to go on the dyno. I'm going to race it. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I get to do with it to see where it falls and kind of give more education. Because right now there's a really quiet energy around those cars. No one's... when the fuck have you seen one move?
Yeah, I mean, so we did get to hang out with the white and the blue one at Fuji the year before you came.
Sure.
And so we did get to see them drive them, but they're not driving.
No.
Right?
They're
They're
$700,000 car.
Yeah.
They're given so much sympathy for being so holy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And they are balanced cars, right?
Sure.
That's mine's thing. And it definitely sounds like you're unsheathing a sword when you start it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a crazy sounding machine, but did we get to see it at its true performance? No.
So what I want to see is GTR Festival, that next to me on the highway.
Yeah.
That
would
it's still
be
a
true.
Skyline. If it's parked,
let's see the whole comparison.
let's see it. You know, but we'll get to it. Luckily, Andrew bought one. He's got that yellow one that they've been building.
That's
Andrew's.
his?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
So we'll get to see. And once again, not talking shit. I know it's gonna be soft.
Yeah. Right.
The Japanese.
And we got another
That's
special
how they
car
are,
coming too.
kind of.
Yeah, we got that 0R coming here too.
Oh yeah. That'll
That'll
that
be
was
at GTR
cool.
Festival.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That'll be
cool.
driving the streets at GTR Festival.
Which
insane.
was really cool about Andrew, and he literally takes delivery, puts you guys right out on the track.
Yeah, that was the
mind-blown.
plan. Was just like, let's just have it at Fuji. We stayed an extra 3 days. Let's have it at Fuji, and like, we didn't go for any lap records. Like, that was our first drive in it, which kind of sucked because it's intimidating to get out on a Fuji the first time, and like in this car you don't know anything about, and like, to be fair, I don't trust anyone building a car, so I'm like, what's left loose or
Right.
what's leaking or whatever.
And that's not a fresh build.
No.
Yeah, no. And we went to Technical Factory a couple days before. We found a couple leaks that they fixed. Like, one of the brake lines were leaking, you know, just from sitting or whatever. And like, that shows up the track, that could be catastrophic. So, and we only had those 3 sessions or whatever. So it was like literally me pulling out on the street with a fresh build here and driving to 202 Tavern and turn around, which is what I always do, quarter mile down the road. That's how I felt driving that car on Fuji. It was just like, watch your gauge. It's like, you're not going for a line. You're not going for speed. Luckily, so I called Andrew. I had the Ray-Bans Metas.
Yep.
And I was like, what do you want me to do? And he's like, go down the front straight hard as you can. So I clicked 6 in that car, you know, like down the front straight.
Yeah.
I think I hit like 170 or 240K or something like that. Like, I forgot what it was, but it's on camera.
It's moving.
Yeah,
And I
I
was just
have the
like-
video. I was behind you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and so like we turned that last corner before the straight, and I was like, I'm keeping up with the freaking 0R, dude. And like that thing was gone. Like I
That was
was
the only
like,
time we were hitting the gas. Dude, the first time I get in, I go down the straight, you know, pit exit, take the first corner, and I'm like, well, let's just see, because it's wide. That's one
Yeah.
thing that I didn't realize about that track. It's fucking 40 feet wide. I'm like, well, here's like a little opening, a little turn that goes down. Like, I can see everything. Let's see what this thing does. In second gear, I just hit it. And it's like, I'm like, is this thing like got a test controller? It had ice cold tires. It was January in fucking Mount Fuji. It was probably 20 degrees that day.
Yeah.
So after a couple laps, it got better. But yeah, that car, it's your quintessential Japanese build. Very laggy, very unexciting until it's exciting. You know, which is fun to drive that sometimes, and sometimes it's fun to drive that response shit. You know,
I think these uber ultra builds, whatever you want to call them, it's like meeting your hero, right?
Right.
Because you have this image of such a perfect machine.
Yep.
It's the ultimate experience. And when you meet him, you kind of find some shortfalls.
Yeah.
Well, not
Kinda
only
find some
that,
things.
I'm super critical in not like looking for problems, but my brain can't not see them.
Right.
I go look under your stock FL5 engine bay and be like, why didn't they just put this connector over here? Like, I'll just do that.
And
That's
that's
yeah.
what he brings to the cars being built here.
Right.
So that now
You don't know how many times I've like on a swap car, I've made them change a throttle cable. Like the same car, change that throttle cable. That's too long. That's too short. That's routed weird. Until we found like, oh, the S13 with the CA is the best throttle. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of shit that the customers don't get to see. They don't really get billed on. But
And it goes everywhere too. It's not just the mechanical stuff. He'll come to me with a tuning inquisition and be like, I want the car to feel this way, and he'll make it so I'll do what I need to do until he's going, yep, that's it.
dude, we'll go out on the street and I'll be like, I feel something right there. I personally, and Jack will be like, oh yeah, something right in that, right where I said it. He like, that's like, we've become so in tune to the car where I can hop in anyone's Skyline and pretty much give it a bill of health just off of the negatives, the positives, the power delivery, when it is, where it is. And that's one thing that like I think me and Eric like are very similar on. Eric's really good at that too. When we went in my 33 though, I could tell he had not a fucking thing to say. You know what I mean? Yeah, he was just like, dude, we did this. There was this light. We did this 1, 2, 3 that I like. That was really my first drive with 3-liter with GTR Festival. We're getting towards the end. He was driving with our buddy Mark and a couple other people. And this night he drove with me. And I did this 1, 2, 3 where the car felt like a fucking CVT. It was like, like perfect. And afterward we both look at each other. Actually, we raced Adam's sedan. Yeah. That's what it was. Adam
That's a fast car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ran. Did it run 9s? No, he hit like 10.
I think it's a 9-second car.
It's a 9-second car.
Yeah.
And we were like this. Like, and I hit that 1, 2, 3 fucking beautifully. And Eric was like, he wasn't going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those situations. Now, granted, if I lined up next to Adam 10 times, he would have killed me on the quarter mile. But it was just like we were right where we needed to be on the street. It was like perfect conditions for my car, and it just worked.
Yeah.
But
Huge smile on your face after that, I'm sure.
Both of us just like we just looked at each other like this thing's fucking nuts.
So would you call your like what you've been describing? Would you call that attention to detail? Would you call that OCD?
I don't like
what is-
people self-diagnosing themselves with autism and OCD and all types of shit.
I'll say it. He's got it.
I've got autoimmune diseases. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like any of that shit. But I would say it is really just stems from my hate. It's just don't sleep on hate. That's what I say. I hate things. I can't see too much when I like something if it's perfect. It's so hard to explain. If you pop your hood and I don't say something, it's probably good.
You're good.
Yeah. If you pop your hood, my eyes gravitate towards every negative, and it's like a trigger. It's not a conscious like. Like these wires have been driving me nuts since we sat down. You know what I mean?
Tell.
Like if I set this up, the wires would be
these would be on there.
yeah, like this would be different. You know what I mean? But it's also not compulsive because I don't give a fuck. Like I do, but I don't. I don't feel the need. Like Matt Mormon, he's got OCD. I don't know if you know who he is.
No.
He's Obsessed Garage.
Oh, okay.
So he's got OCD. Like he would stop the podcast and fix this possibly. And that's why me and Matt vibe
What is this?
so well.
Step on a crack?
Yeah, well, like I don't. Me and Matt vibe really well because I think I have control over whatever he is dealing with because he doesn't. He can't drive his car more than 4 miles or he gets like freaked out.
And has to clean it?
No, has to get out. Can't drive.
Oh,
Like feels.
I see.
I don't know if it's like it's not a claustrophobic thing, but it's like something mentally. Just doesn't like long trips. He's scared of crashing. Scared of someone hitting him. Like freaking out about all types of stuff. So I think like I've been able to control what he can't, and that's why we vibe. But I vibe with like all the like people that are totally different from me. Like I'd love to go take a fucking tour of Singer with the dude.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
That's the beauty of this industry is there's so many different flavors to do the same cook.
Yeah.
Like you look at all of these cars, they can be the same. They rolled off the assembly line identical, and where they end is so far away from each other.
It's so cool. And this is gonna sound like I'm bragging or shit talking. I visited GarageSZero. I loved the family. They're really cool.
Is it really just dude and his wife?
Dude, his wife, and his son.
And his son.
There's like
dude,
another guy that's like, you know,
right, helper or
whatever.
yeah.
But it's them.
That's cool.
And they have like a couple shops, and I'm down in his main shop where Andrew's car is, and Andrew has a Millennium Jade. They have a Built by Legends #1, Andrew does, which is just like an OEM refresh. He has a Millennium Jade car that had high miles. They put a brand new 24U long block, brand new from Nissan. Just like a freshen up, you know. And I'm looking at the intake manifold, and I'm seeing something I hate. And now we have a fucking translator, and I'm trying not to offend these people. But I also want to tell him what he could do better because I've dealt with the issue. So I'm like, yo, like, get him over here. Say this way. You know, I'm like, so what it was they did the plenum. They vapor blasted it. I'm not saying I invented vapor blasting. I didn't do that. I would say I'm one of the first people in the country to adopt it and use it as much as I did. I learned it in the UK. I am very passionate about vapor blasting. I spent a long time. I didn't do it myself, but I spent a long time like training people and checking their work and telling them to try different things. Or, you know, in the beginning, I did do it.
You're also Mr. Zinc.
Yeah, the zinc stuff too. But so this plenum, it had this, like, I call it cheetah printing, where it's an uneven pattern because it's cast and all those highs and lows are reflecting light differently. So if you were to take this and you were to vapor blast this is flat, you could hit it at any angle and this is going to be good. But if you take all that like cratery material and you hit it like this, you're only going to hit the highs and the lows.
Right,
You're going to miss the sides.
Yeah.
So you have to do it a certain way. And I was like, this cheetah printing is from you changing your angle and your depth too much. Because you're holding this thing and it's spraying high pressure water and glass dust at a thing. It's bouncing off the windshield. You can't see anything. The wiper's going. It's a shitty process. But I mean, those subframes right there are vapor blasted. Those are 997. Yeah. That's actually 996 subframe. That's from 04. Looks fucking brand new.
Brand new. Looks better than new.
So what it was is like you can't go over that surface and change your height, and you can't change. You have to change your angle, but keep the same height.
Yeah.
So you have to do one pass this way, then you have to do one pass this way, so you hit both of those like edges.
Makes sense.
You know, and like to give that information to GarageSZero, and one, it elevates their builds, which I get to appreciate.
Yeah.
Andrew's car is one of them. I would hate to hit the car show up here and be like, Andrew, the fucking plenum needs to be re-vapor blasted. It's driving me nuts. We got to take the engine out because good luck getting a Nismo plenum off in the fucking car. I don't want any of that, and I want them to be able to fucking deliver a car where some freak like me isn't going to notice it and say anything.
Yeah.
If I hated them and I saw that at a car show, I could say these guys don't know how to vapor blast. I don't want that for them.
No.
I like them. I look up to them. So I told them, you know, and like then after that, you could tell they like opened up. I was scared I was going to offend them.
Yeah, like you were going the wrong way.
The Japanese are different. You know what I mean? You can offend them by sneezing on a Tuesday at the wrong time in a train car. You know, like you're supposed to sneeze outside of the train car. You know, like,
I got a talking to for eating while walking on the street.
You know,
that'll happen.
Yeah.
I was eating McDonald's. I had a hash brown. Me and Shaw.
And they look at him like he's
And
crazy.
Yeah, the guy's like, and I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, oh, don't eat on the sidewalk. Don't eat on the sidewalk.
Damn.
I'm like, and the sidewalk's clean.
So after this, they open up and like they're talking about dry ice blasting. So I show them the underside of my 32, and you know they she's calling his wife over, and she goes and and asks the translator, and the translator's like, "How long did that take you?" I was like, "Oh, this is like 2 hours." Tells her, she goes, in English, he's lying.
Yeah. He's
I'm
lying.
like, fucking. Show him a video of it just blowing the undercoating and the paint off the bottom, showing the e-coat. It was leaving the e-coat beautifully. My car looked fucking insane. It looked like it just got dipped in e-coat. And they're like, no way, no way. So I'm like, let me see your system. Now, once again, dry ice blasting, bringing it into the JDM world. Like, I did that. I don't care what anyone says. I did that. Scott Ailes, I reached out to Scott Ailes in 2020, discovered that he was the only guy doing dry ice blasting on cars. Talked to him a bunch, connected him and Matt Mormon. They have a business together that they sell dry ice blasting systems. Like Scott calls me every day. He's like, dry cells, I'm giving you a piece of it. You know, like that.
Are they local?
They're in Florida.
Okay.
Orlando. So I look at their whole system, go through everything, and we end up with the compressor. And it's this huge compressor, belt driven. And I'm like, how many horsepower? And they're like, I was like, how big's the engine? Like 7.5 horsepower. I was like, there's your problem. We have a 42 horsepower Kaiser.
Oh, okay.
The last place they installed that compressor was a 200,000 square foot Amazon fulfillment center. It's huge.
Holy
It's
shit.
blowing air through a 1-inch air hose.
It rips.
And it'll take your meat right off your fucking bone if I hit you with it. With the big one.
Rips.
The little one just hurts like a motherfucker. The big one will just...
In the winter, it heats the whole shop.
Yeah, the compressor heats the whole shop in the winter.
Damn.
And the machine shop uses it all the
Compressor
time.
heat.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So what we have is we have an exhaust fan on the wall, and then we have a big-ass fan in the door. And if it's cold outside, we'll turn on the big fan. If it's hot outside, we turn on the exhaust fan and close the door. So it's cool.
And
It's
so you were able to shine light on the lack of compressor power. For
yeah, because they didn't know why
garage
theirs didn't work. They probably invested quite a bit of money into their blaster. The blasters themselves are usually 15 to 25 grand.
Yeah.
You need the air hose. You need an air dryer. We have a $12,000 air dryer because it's a desiccant dryer, like those packets you get.
Yeah.
It's full of those.
Oh,
and so when the air passes through them, it takes all the. It's the fastest way. Usually people use refrigerated ones, but as that gets too hot, it gets more and more inefficient. And we're running
Makes sense.
a huge compressor through it, so you need a desiccant dryer. So our whole system was like about $100K.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked through that and I was like, you need a bigger compressor. And they're like, all right. I was like, you can rent like a diesel on a trailer, and that's what you need. And I'm sure at this point they've done it.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah,
that
it's a crazy system.
This machine needs a trailer. Like
If you don't have a $50,000 Kaiser, like
Right.
we have Kaiser, whatever it is. So
It's these little things, though, they make a huge difference.
yeah,
Right.
The end product shows.
yeah, I'll show you like what's what when we're done here. But it's cool. And once again, I don't know if someone he knows watched my video and fucking told him, you guys should try dry ice blasting.
Yeah, you
And
never
it's
know.
the least I could do is be like, if you did this because of my video, this is where you went wrong or whatever. But at the same time, like the engine builder at Mines knows who I am.
Right, Nakayama-san.
Yeah, knows who I am. Like I met him at GTR. He knew who the fuck I was. Like,
Man, that must, dude. I'm not trying to suck your dick, but
No,
that
it's-
must feel
no,
really
trust me.
cool.
It
Guys
was-
that you look
it
up
was good,
to
yeah.
are like, oh, I know you, and you're like, you know me.
yeah, I
You
met him
know.
at Top Rank in 2021, and like we were introduced to the Built by Legends guy and them, and they were all like super. You could tell, like they didn't tell me they knew me, and then I said something about something that I did, and he was like, "Yeah, I know." And then it was like, "Oh, he knows who you
okay.
are." And then the translator was like, "Oh, he knows who you are." And I was like, "That's fucking cool."
Yeah.
And the Built by Legends dudes, like the guys, the curators, know who I am. They were actually asking me like, "How do you get all the YouTubers' cars? how do you get to build all the YouTubers' cars?"
How do you get to build all the YouTubers' cars?
We do it for free.
Do it for free.
Yeah. So
Like comp.
yeah, I mean, not so much parts,
Mm-hmm.
but we do all the labor for free.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's a marketing trade.
Well, back in the day when I was a YouTuber and I didn't know about GTRs, he built my car for free. And
wow.
so I knew what that did for his business, and I knew what it does for other businesses, and I know my reach and what it's done for other businesses. And basically, it was like, we got to do this for free, not because they deserve it,
Right.
I mean, they do. A lot of them do. You shouldn't feel bad for any $1 million YouTuber,
Yeah.
But at the same time, what Adam is pulling off and what TJ is pulling off and Cletus, fuck's
Oh
sake,
my
Oh
God.
my gosh.
I don't know. They're sacrificing a lot of their actual life.
Right.
It looks like momentum now, right? Like you see momentum. Things are just happening. It looks like it's happening easier and easier as the
Like
days go on.
automatically.
Exactly.
Right,
Start
yeah.
to because and maybe to a certain extent it is because they're getting more sponsorships, more deals, more opportunities. But it started with grind.
What they don't know that's happening is their life is going so fast. Think about like the busiest, exciting day you've ever had. How fast that day went by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like how many things you missed. Have you ever just like gone through, like you're in Japan and you went through all day and you're like, I didn't take a single picture. Like
Shit, I forgot to piss. I
Yeah.
was just like,
you forget to eat,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
These dudes are like, away from kids and
Yeah.
away from, they're missing. Once all that drama, the best thing that happened was that drama like slowed me down and made me realize like, dude, you would forget something and you would realize it 2 months later. Like,
Dang.
oh, I forgot to do that important thing that I was supposed to do. I forgot to send that ticket in that I got, and now there's a warrant out for my, whatever.
Right.
Like, that shit happens because the days are just so packed, so stressful. Your goal is A, and everything else doesn't matter until you complete A. And if something goes bad on your route to completion, forget everything else. You're not making it to dinner. You're missing that flight. Whatever the fuck. So Cletus has a really good team. Cletus is really good. He's an efficient human. He's like the Elon Musk, I would say, of the car game. The dude's just fucking on. Like, I got to do the Freedom 900 in Connecticut, the New England
that's cool.
900. It was fucking insane. I'm not saying I would have talked shit about his events. I would have talked shit about the people at his event. I'll be completely honest with you. Because it's just like a rednecky, like kind of like circus freak kind of games.
His shtick.
But no, fuck that. It is so much more fun to watch and be a part of than even shit that I'm interested in. I'm 0% interested in anything that they're doing. The whole day, everyone was stoked. They're jumping minivans fucking 6 feet high, but there's a race involved. Like,
And by the way, it's not all smoke and mirrors either, too, because he's really good.
oh, he's fucking good.
Just yesterday, top 10 NASCAR.
Yeah.
Top 10.
Yeah.
So like that was something that I went into, I would say, with like I didn't have too high of expectations, and I told Cletus, I'm like, dude, I'm fucking terrified. I was like, I've never raced wheel to wheel. I've never driven a Crown Vic. I've never watched NASCAR. I'm racing against fucking Travis Pastrana and all these people. And
Greg
I'm like,
Biffle.
all I'm thinking is like, I don't want to take out a fan favorite. That's all. That was my only goal.
You don't want to take out Cletus?
I don't want to take out Cletus. I don't want to take out Pastrana. I don't want to take out Roman Atwood. I don't want to take these people out. They're not thinking like that. They're like, fuck everyone. So I qualified 10th. Because I was behind. This is how nice I was driving. I qualified behind Cletus's brother, and I didn't want to pass him in qualifying.
I want to piss him.
I ran a faster time than him behind him. So I qualified higher, and then they flipped the field.
Oh, I see.
So what they do is like the guy who qualified first gets last.
That makes sense.
But
really.
I qualified 10th out of 20 people.
That's your dead center.
Stayed right where
Pushing
the
the
fuck
good
I was.
stuff,
Yeah, right in the middle. So we start going, and like I'm like, just drive clean, find your line. The track's weird. You think an oval track, they're all the same.
Yeah.
There's like little weird nuances to every track. Oh, well, turn 3 and 4, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn 3 and 4 are wider than 1 and 2, and this bank here is and like Cletus is getting all these things. He's driven the track for a day. He's got all the secrets. He's negotiated with these people for however long to get the track time. And I'm like, never driven a Crown Vic, never raced wheel to wheel. Like, qualified dead center. Jimmy's out there, and I know Jimmy. I'm like, dude, let's just stick together. We'll bash brothers the fuck out of this. By like lap 4, I'm like, where the fuck is Jimmy? I'm in like 4th place. Jimmy's nowhere to be found. I'm like, all right, like just put your head down and go. And I just drove where I was comfortable, not like listening to anyone, kind of not following anyone's lines. And what I ended up finding was that I was like getting grip where people weren't. So I'd be on the inside of the corner on 1 and 2, and I'd look up and people would be like on the bank, like just fucking floating away. And you'd have to slow down as you start tracking out. And I'm just pedal down on nitrous, just hooking around this corner. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Dude, I hit the nitrous every time I hit the corner. What the fuck is going on? I got yelled at because I was dropping my inside wheel, my left wheels in the dirt. That's how low on the bank I was. I was like Takumi fucking Fujiwara in the gutter move around. And I'm like kicking sand onto the track, which is making people fucking fuck up. So there was a point where I was in like second and third, and it's me and Cletus. And like I can tell I'm in second, he's in third. And I see him start following my line. And I'm like, he's on me, and I'm like, okay.
He knows what he's doing.
But what sucks, so I'm not saying he stole my line, but I think I helped him find a new line. But what sucks
was he hooking the corners on nitrous?
I don't know. The lights didn't work. Every time you hit nitrous, the light's supposed to flash. But
it didn't
no,
work.
and I got out. I'm like, did you guys see how much I was hitting nitrous? Like, no, we had no idea. It didn't work. And I was hitting it in funny places to try to make people laugh. Like places you shouldn't be hitting it. Like corner entry. Fucking let's see what happens. But you're dancing on this line of like understeer, oversteer. It's the craziest thing I've ever felt because you're actually like gripless in between each dance. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm understeering, oh, I'm oversteering, oh, I'm understeering. And but like for that moment, you feel like you're like floating, but I think that's like, you're right at the limit of like breakaway. And you're just sitting there doing that. Every time you go into the corner, it's scary you. Every time you dive into that corner, you're like, is it going to give up? I'm thinking my right front tire's bald because I'm driving so hard.
Oh, yeah.
So now, me and Cletus and Travis starts fucking working his way up. And I'm like, fuck. Like, this dude's a psychopath. He jumped out of a plane with no parachute.
Literally, you can't do
racing
nothing.
this
Yeah.
guy. So I'm just trying to be really clean, which made me look boring. Like, I watch videos and, like, you just see me go through corners, like, not touching anyone, not doing
You're like
anything.
a piece of furniture.
Yeah, and like Travis rolls up, and I basically just went just like go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, and I like battled with him for a little bit. I got a picture with him. It was cool, but like then I'm getting a little comfortable. I'm like lap like 60. I'm going down the back straight, and what I would do is I'd come out of the corner, I'd kind of stay low, and then right before the corner, I'd kind of track out and then dip in. Because you're supposed to be really close to the wall.
Yeah.
I didn't like the feeling of being close to the wall because
Yeah.
I didn't want someone to hit me and put me in the wall. I'd
Cold
rather,
trickle you pretty
yeah,
much.
I thought I'd be safer away from it, but realistically, if I got hit, I would have ended up at the wall anyway.
Right. Head first, probably.
Yeah, so I'm fucking going, and I go to do my move, and I didn't. I was gonna say I didn't check my mirror. I didn't have a mirror. Someone had hit it. My face was bleeding, so I was driving my fucking visor to open because hot as fuck. And someone hit my mirror, and it shattered glass into my face. So I have like cuts like all over my face, like little. I didn't even feel them. I didn't even know. But I look at my mirror, it's not there. You're strapped in, you can't see anything. And I thought I got pit maneuvered, and I watched the clip. He's like this, and I'm here, and then I just went like this and hit him. Dude, he fucking hit me. I went nose into the wall, swatting bees trying to correct. I corrected. In the process, unclipped my fucking seatbelt. I'm sitting there
my
like
God.
fucking dying, and I'm like, I straighten it out, I pull in because I don't really know the etiquette, and the car seemed kind of fine, but pull in. This dude's got this fucking sledgehammer, and he's slamming the car. And I'm like, is it good? And he leans in the car like this, and he goes, run it till it falls off. And I'm like,
Oh my
I
God.
don't want to do that. I'm out here going 80 miles an hour in a Crown Vic, like with psychopaths. But I was all fucking hopped up on adrenaline. So I get back out there. I start like, I pass Jimmy. Fucking get past Jimmy. Get back to the center. And there's a clip of me. I come out of turn four, like to the straight. And you see me come out, and it's like straight on, and then you just see my wheel go like this, and it fucking puts me in the wall so hard. Like all the windows blow out of the fucking thing.
Oh my God.
I just like kind of come to a stop, get out in the middle of the track, jump the fence, and just got back into the audience. They dragged my car out, and
Do you have PTSD?
no, I want to
Like,
do that
that's
event
serious.
so bad again because I will be more of a like Rubbins racing
Right.
guy
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
so clean because I actually had a chance to be in the top 5.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
pretty decent.
Yeah,
It
I did.
feels good. That's for
It
sure.
felt good, and like people like there's some people that are kind of rednecky that I know that were like, "Joy, saw you," which I'd never expect to see me like, "Saw you in the Cletus race, you fucking killing it," and I got like a bunch of DMs like, "Dude, that was sick." I didn't know what I was doing, but now that I kind of have a feel for it, I think I could do pretty good. But that's the best stuff about YouTube right there. It's like being able. What the fuck kind of crossover did Cletus and I have? You know,
Right.
but he called me up, was like, "Come to this event, do this." Obviously, he did it to get more local people, but it made
Yeah.
sense. He's in Connecticut. I'm in Connecticut. Let's go.
Yeah, which is smart in that sense. And then it's kind of like what you're saying. What you didn't pay him to do this, right? And he didn't pay you, but that crossover was the payment.
It was
for the both of
it
you.
was sick.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, he had somebody to fill a seat in this thing. But where I was going with that entirely too long story is like, you could see how well he runs an event. Not that Adams are worse,
yeah,
but Adams are simpler.
Yeah.
It's go out, drift, do your thing, you run it like Formula D or whatever, call it a day. Adam runs a great event. Cletus was nonstop. That whole event was nonstop. There was a fucking merch line. I'm not even joking. Had to be a quarter mile from his booth.
And that's like production value, right? Like Cletus's production value and the way that he does things are just so next level,
On those events, but I mean, his videos are filmed on an iPhone.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay.
So-
Yeah, I
And-
didn't
and
even
if you-
realize that.
And if you look, I mean, he participates in so many disciplines.
Yeah.
It's not just one thing. Like there's a lot of people who are just good. They're good at NASCAR, stock car, or whatever. They're good drag racing. Okay, whatever. he's a pilot.
I know.
He flies a helicopter,
It's
a
crazy.
plane. He drag races. He's NASCAR. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no limits.
My,
And
my favorite like Cletus thing is like, as much as he plays this like redneck and stuff, he's had one of those cars. That was his favorite car. And like when I got mine,
yeah.
I just get like this random text, and it's a picture. It's from Cletus of just a Speedo at 207. He used to have one of those.
Damn.
He just sends me this like blurry picture where it says 207 on the car. I was
wild.
like, holy fuck! This dude, you know, like
he's
that was a street car.
completely-
He's like, match this.
I don't know if I'm allowed to like say this, but I'll just say it, and he'll probably never see this. Hopefully, he had that car so he could drive to and from the shop, and no one knew he ever had the car.
Oh wow.
So he had a turbo, a 997 turbo, tinted dark as hell.
Oh shit.
And it was on like meth and shit, and he would just drive it to and from his shop, and who would think Cletus was in that fucking
Right,
thing, you
true.
know? And then when he got the
1,000 horsepower Porsche.
991, the white car, I text him like, you know, he's into him, you know what I mean? So that was cool to hear too, that he had this like secret Porsche. But what was funny is when he was trying to get the Freedom Factory, he was selling everything, and that was for sale. He's like selling the Porsche or my buddy's Porsche or something,
Yeah.
where it was like, oh, okay, that is true, you know, like because I had heard it through the grapevine. He didn't tell me I have this secret car. I just heard like that's what he drives home. You know?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Do you
And he's-
watch any of his stuff?
Like before he got Freedom Factory, I watched a lot more.
You
of
know,
it.
you know James
Yeah.
Jackson. We've been talking since last year to build him an SR. He's a big 240 guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he has a
So,
240 drag car, right?
Yeah, he has that. He's got a street car. His wife's got one. Like I think he's got like 4 240s or Sylvia 240. So I want to build him like a 2.2 and do like our thing to his bay and just make like 400 horsepower. And
Yeah.
because
is
he
fun with an
enjoys that
SR.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that'll be cool to do that. But
So where does all this go from here, right? Everybody's been watching you for 8 years. Do your thing. You know, they've seen you go through so many stages.
yeah, I mean, once again, it's so surreal to like think about it. Where I started on YouTube to where I am. And everyone's gonna say this. Like I watch Cletus go from where he is to where he is. It's fucking amazing. I think it's cool when there is that progression from a creator that like if you're a diehard viewer, you saw go from like nothing to a skyline restoration
like
shop.
a crazy gimbal.
Yeah. I used to have a
You guys
gimbal
remember
would
that?
go nuts.
Anybody?
Yeah, just fucking.
That
go
was
nuts.
so funny.
But like, I don't know where it can go more now. We can't bring the shop to like another level per se. Where you're standing right now is gonna be torn down from like a wall over there to here. This won't be here anymore. This will be a clear span, clear building.
Oh, okay.
That will be final assembly. So the idea will be to have the machine shop in a separate building outside near like where our dumpsters are, and then level this area, push it all the way to the back, have a clear span 8,000 square feet, have what you saw as the shop be tear down, body work, dirty, engines out, send them over to the machine shop, car gets painted and gets pushed over to the final assembly.
The clean room.
Exactly. And then the first half, because we don't need 8,000 square feet, the first 4,000 closest to the wall, to the road, will be like glass. It'll be like craft sport style. We'll have cars that can either be stored, cars that can be for sale. And we really want to move towards the turnkey cars because I'm going to build a 33 that I think would rival a Built by Legends 33 that'll make more power and be a little more, I don't know, built, but like I would say in a bad way compared to Built by Legends, but also not, because like the more you get away from OEM, I guess you could say like the worse it gets. It's really hard to like ride that line because I don't hate those guys. So I everything I say, I feel like I might come off as I'm talking shit. I'm not into a 400 wheel horsepower Skyline.
Right.
If anyone tells me that their cars make more than 400 to 500 wheel, I know for a fact it isn't true. I know the turbos are running. I know the boosts are running. I don't know what they claim. I've never seen it. I'm not interested in that. That was what I was interested in when Jack first built my car, and I built a car that made 485, and it was fun. But there's so much more left on the table, you know. And
Right.
like a 2.8 transforms the car so much in a positive way with zero negatives. I've yet to see a negative. You take an Evo and you go from a 2-liter to a 2.3, there's negatives. You physically can't rev that more.
Right.
You just can't. You what do they rev to a 2.3? 7,000, 6,800?
Yeah, versus 9,000.
Versus 9. You know, we're 2.8s, we're revving them. My 3-liter, we revved to 9,000.
Damn.
You know,
That's
That's
pretty
crazy.
wild.
There's no reason to streetcar to do a 2.6. You know, there's no reason to build a 2.6. If you're gonna build one, get a fucking HES stroker because it's not that much. It's not that
Right.
much.
Why
And then
wouldn't
get
you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Have you ever felt a 2.8 car?
No.
I'll take you for a ride and I'll let you drive a 2.8 car today if you have time, and you'll feel it instantly. It's just a different. Everything's different and better. And like I said, there's no negatives. So, are the MB7s 2.8? I think the Built by Legends cars are all 2.8, right?
Yeah.
My biggest issue with them, if we need to talk shit, which I feel the need to say out loud, I don't like the turbos they choose.
Too small.
They're too bad.
Oh.
They're 28. They're 2860s. To my understanding, I believe they used to use HKS. I would love clarification on this if anyone could. I'd love to be educated. I just saw Andrew's engine because he sent me a picture of it, and it has Garrett 2860s on it. We've seen those turbos.
They've been around forever. Right?
But
they're not 2530s.
they're not 2530s. They're not Tomei T550Bs. They're not Apexi, you know,
There's so many
whatever.
better
There's
turbos.
so many better turbos in those. The negatives and the positives of those turbos outweigh each other so much that I would choose an N1 turbo or an R3 turbo over those.
Oh, wow.
And I had to go through this process too on my car because when I first destroyed my 2530s two-stepping at Adam LZ's Invitational,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Fucking around.
destroyed them. I left nothing.
Wow.
And I had to trailer the car home and everything.
Dang.
And anyway, to replace them, you know, I spoke with a bunch of people and they were all like, "Oh yeah, those are just 2860s." I'm like, "No, okay."
That's
no,
what
they're
everyone's.
not.
Those are Dash 5 2860s,
Right.
Dash 9, Dash 7. You hear all that stuff. HKS has a proprietary exhaust housing.
I sent the turbos to get rebuilt, and they analyzed everything, and they're like, "These are not 2860s. They're proprietary." They put together the turbo for me back. The center cartridges were new, using all the HKS stuff, and it's gold.
So what they do, what Garrett does, right? They're in the business of making money, just like HKS. They design a turbo. They don't say, this is an SR turbo, this is an RB turbo. They don't do that. They say, this works for a 2-liter to a 3.4 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You've seen that.
Yeah.
So a 2860 is probably a really cool SR20 turbo. Probably makes 350 wheel or something.
One.
Yeah.
One of them. You put two together, should make 700. Probably will peak at 700. But what's weird about them is because they're made to spool a 4-cylinder, they have a smaller exhaust housing. There's a bunch of little negatives. So when you throw ethanol through them and you start cranking it up, you get this big jump of horsepower from stock to this on the first go.
Well, and you look also, the one turbo is made for 2 liters, right? That's the
Yeah.
wheelhouse for that. So when you go to 2 turbos, you didn't go to 4 liters.
Right. You stay
Right.
at 2.6 or 2.8.
Right. You're still small.
But we can combat that potentially. You know, you should be able to. The problem with these is the exhaust side is so small because if there was any bigger, it wouldn't spool on the 2-liter. That when you put 2 of them on a 2.6, you get really good results until 24 psi,
I see.
and then it falls off. So those turbos, realistically, what will they make? 600 wheel, probably
Depends.
on our
Yeah.
dyno,
Depends
probably.
on, fuel type. and
Yeah,
everything,
let's just
but,
say 600 on ethanol. No, not even. Probably 550
yeah,
on ethanol.
that's safer.
Maybe 600.
550.
Where a 2530 will have the exact same beginning graph. These will go like this and then fall off. A 2530 will go like this.
Keeps running.
You know, and there's no negatives underneath the curve.
They don't choke.
They don't choke. They don't do anything. And that turbo's, the 2060 might be really good for pump gas or something like that, but they're just not made for
And
an
they'll
RB
stay
26.
flat. They'll stay flat at 450.
Right.
They'll stay flat even at 500. But they go nose down.
Yeah.
When you start to
when you
push
push them
hard.
to the max, they
And
just
so 2530s on a 2.6, you don't feel like at the bottom that's
they
like
suck.
Yeah,
I
because that's
hate-
what I'm in right now.
I
is-
hate 2530s on a 2.6. That's
Yeah.
what Jack has. They're on the street.
VCAM helps.
VCAM does help a bunch.
Yeah.
But still, we've done a VCAM 2530 car or a GT34R VCAM car. They need that 0.2 display.
Yeah.
That's
They need
where
that
it
little
goes
extra.
from like, this is okay to like, this is nuts. And if you get an ignorant person or an inexperienced person in a car with too big of a turbo, it is more dramatic. So they do
Right.
think it's faster than a GTSS car, but the GTSS car will smoke the pump gas 2.6 2530 car. You know, it just got so much more meat where you need it. You know, so 2.8, 2530 or T550B is the move right now. GT3 4R is good with a 2.8, but it needs the 1.0 hot side from the Supra version.
And ethanol always helps too.
Right.
It shifts everything a couple hundred
you
RPM.
guys are just spoiled down here and have ethanol.
No, we just buy Sunoco E85R.
You're using like
we
drums.
Like I said, we have a GTR Festival. Our fucking F350 follows us around everywhere with 2 drums in the bed. We stop for dinner. They fill up the fucking car. Like our techs come with us, and they're working, but they're playing, you know, and they're filming or doing whatever. They're fucking around. I would love to get like a Stagia with like put like a trunk, like, you know, those bed mounted tanks. Throw in the back, make like a fast Stagia so the techs can mob with us, and then like
that would be sick.
You know, pull up. But it works with the F350. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll go for riding the 33. It makes 801, 610 torque. The reason it's making the shitty torque is the hot side. It's not shitty, but the reason it's making the low torque is the hot side. I think, and I'll show you the difference with the turbos too. The 3 liter is a totally different animal though. That's like,
I can imagine.
And everyone's like, oh, you got an RB30, and I had to always correct them. I say it's a 3 liter 2.6, you know, because it's not an RB30.
It's a 26
bar.
But at the same time, if you gave me the option of a 3.2 liter RB30 or a 3 liter RB26, I'm taking the 26. I get none of the negatives. I don't have the taller deck height. I don't have the weird timing belt and tensioners and all that fuckery.
And the rotating assembly is so good.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, it's good, and it revs at 9,000. You know, it's great. And it's a crate motor. And that's the other thing I try to tell people. And if anyone takes anything from this podcast besides that I like to talk, it's the fastest way to devalue your 33 or 34, and this isn't a dig at anyone, is to put a single turbo Australian part build on it. I have never seen a car built to the level that they're built to where they don't gain much value. The only people you're really going to gain value from are someone who wants an exact setup, which in the drag racing world is zero.
Right.
Where my car, I listed for $350, and I had some jokesters that were like, yeah, good luck. And I have a standing offer right now that will pay full asking price. It wouldn't have happened with a
That's
fucking...
insane.
Yeah.
Wow, $350
but my
for
car
a
has
33.
$350,000 into it.
Right. Yeah, of course. I mean, you can tell just when you walk up to it.
Yeah, like, I mean, hood and headlights are $50,000.
Yeah.
The car cost me $90,000. So right there, we're at $140,000, and we haven't even talked about the $70,000 engine and the $30,000 transmission, which now puts us at $240,000. And we really haven't talked about shit yet. Wheels are $10,000, seats are $12,000. You know, like, I don't know. But there's somebody who sees the value and went, oh yeah, this car is perfect.
That's another thing too. Like, you picked parts that aren't distasteful.
Right. They're timeless.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
they're good. They're good parts.
Those OGTEs that are on there, they were 2018 build date. I had them new in box. I opened the box to put them on the car. 2018 wasn't that long ago. Those, if let's say you bought my car for $350 and you didn't like those wheels, you sell them for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're perfect OG bronze GTR spec TEs. You know, like, who doesn't want those? Anything you don't want is holding all of its fucking value, you know? Whereas,
That's true.
you know how many fucking Plasma Man intercoolers I've seen for 20% of MSRP or intake manifolds for $500-$600? That stuff is cool if you just want to go fast and you don't care, but none of this makes sense to, if you want to do that, it doesn't make sense to take a GTR.
Right. There's other cars you can do that. So.
I had an argument with the Australians because, like, a couple Australians in the GTR group, I'm like, why do you have a GTR? And they're like, well, it's fucking, you know, it's Godzilla. And I said, it's for nostalgia. That's why you have it.
Right.
That's the only reason. You're trying to drag race, it's for nostalgia. Why would you stop at just the chassis? Why does the nostalgia stop at, like, the exterior?
Right.
Right? You should be nostalgic about under the hood, or the wheels, the brakes. Like, not saying you need old shitty stuff,
right?
But like, I guarantee you, most of these people who have some fucking K Sport brakes or whatever shitty brakes would break just the same with a 1995 version of the Grex.
Oh yeah,
you know what
sure.
I mean? Like, you're not losing anything, or better yet, the stock fucking Brembos. You know, and they're like, take it to the turbo. Do you need that? Like, I love that HKS stayed with the times. It came out with those G Series turbos because I wanted to run one. If they didn't come out with that, I would have had to take the T51R or the T04Z over there and rebuild it to be secretly modern because the T51R and the T04Z are just as known and nostalgic as the fucking Skyline.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
You know, you actually probably more because you'd see them on Supras and Skylines.
Yeah.
So like that shit,
It's period correct.
period
also.
correct, but like modern enough. My car makes 801.
Yeah.
You know, like
That's
if that's
funny.
not enough,
Yeah.
you're fucking
There's
around.
something else going on.
And
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
and that's not all the potential.
Yeah,
either.
and like with a turbo change, I could make over 1,000. Just changing the turbo. Andrew's car has the exact same setup as mine. He made 992, just a different turbo.
Damn. That's a lot of power for these Connecticut streets.
You know what
dude.
it's a lot of power for? The 3-inch Mines Silent VX Pro on the car.
Oh, you must have blown the baffles out of that
Dude,
thing already. There's no way.
It sounds great. It sounds like the engine's trying to escape from fucking jail. You know what I mean? It's just
that
fucking
wind
nuts.
sound.
It's just nuts. Dude, it blew our dyno fan across the whole parking lot at 8,000 RPM in the dyno. You know those
moving air.
those like turbo looking dynos?
Yeah.
We had it like holding in our wideband so our dyno would have one. We have it connected to the ECU so Jack can see it, but we wanted it on the dyno graph. And it was holding it and trying to like evacuate a little more exhaust fumes out of the shop. And it just fucking went tumbling across the parking lot.
See
Like
ya.
far. You know, probably weighs 20 pounds or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
That's pressure.
Yeah, it's crazy.
People
And-
don't realize how much airflow
Oh my God.
is moving through an engine.
Right.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's true. Right. Like when you see those flames rip out the back of a car, it's not just flames coming
Yeah.
out. It's an insane amount of air. Yeah.
Propulsion. You know, it's crazy.
So for the restoration, real quick, I know we got plenty left to do here, but okay, so you've talked about in-house, you've got everything. What about interior? Are
Dude,
you
so
gonna
that's the spiciest question because my opinion is buy a car with a good interior.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason is because I don't like to change it.
yeah, yeah, I
This
hear
is
you.
let's just talk about 33s. 1995. I don't want to see an Alcantara dash in a 95 Nissan.
Right.
That doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
I even have a little bit of trouble with carbon fiber. Exotic materials on econo boxes, which is what I call anything from Japan, minus a LFA or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
It seems goofy. Even in an R35, an Alcantara interior seems a little strange.
Yeah,
It's like putting an
borderline.
Alcantara in a 350Z. You wouldn't do it. You don't do it. With that being said, I know a lot of people like that stuff. The Porsche world that you see behind you has brought me to a kind of different level on that. Like, for example, like I painted this car's center console red.
Is that something you would have done 5-6 years ago, do you think?
Never.
Right.
I would have never done it because think about who used to do that
Oh
back in the
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Hot boys with the Hondas.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what I grew up on. It was Honda. So like, if you had a bunch of fucking painted vents and shit,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know. I still don't know where they got those ideas because Porsches now you can get these cars with painted center consoles and stuff. I think maybe I guess you could have, but I didn't think the Honda community was that in tune with the fucking Porsche world.
Right.
But now, like, I'll show a painted interior, factory painted interior to a buddy who's a JDM head, not that into Porsche. Like, fucking red vents. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. It's okay here. It's
Where's the fire
OEM.
extinguisher?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing is, like, I let things slide that I wouldn't let slide aftermarket if it's OEM.
Right.
You
It
know,
was the
that's-
manufacturer's.
Yeah.
Right. It makes
And if
sense.
they do it, it's done to a level where it makes sense, except for Porsche's interior carbon fiber. Everything else is good. The carbon fiber just falls apart. But as far as interior goes, like my 33, what I did to the interior, what I'm going to do to the interior is going to be subtle, but still touched.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that from the Australians' way of judging the car show. That is what like I took away from that was like, yes, it does need to be touched. And some could argue mine is touched because I have R34 front and rear seats. It is touched.
Right.
But now the door panels don't match.
Classic.
So I bought the Series 1 fabric, and we're going to do the door panels and rear panels. I'm going to change the steering wheel.
And that's kind of
That's
like
it.
that's kind of like the OEM spec.
Yeah, it's like OEM.
Plus.
I
Yeah.
call it like a throwback or a throw forward, whatever the fuck you want to say. I like to be able to repurpose or modernize something within the brand without going aftermarket, which it's aftermarket, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like you
It's
could look
it's
at it.
Recaro for Nissan.
Yeah,
Right.
like whatever. You know, and like another thing we do that like I like the little touches is like our Hikes deletes.
Yeah.
The levels we go to delete Hikes is fucking stupid. So we take an S14 subframe or an S13 subframe, and I cut the bracket that holds the rear arm on, which would be where your Hicus is.
Yeah.
And I weld that bracket. I cut the one off the 34, which has like a bolt hole, to hold the steering rack.
Mm-hmm.
And then I weld on the brackets from the 14 in a 33. I do it with 13, whatever. Or a 32, I use a 13 one. And when all is said and done, on a 32 especially, it just kind of looks like a 14 subframe. But the reason I do it, because you could just bolt the 14 one in,
Right.
is it doesn't add width.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because if you put a 14 one, it adds 10 millimeters on either side. So if like fucking Tamura-san came to my shop, I don't even know who I would say would do this, came to my shop and looked underneath my 32, or I showed them my subframe, which I'll show you when we're done here, they would not know what the fuck is going on. I would assume Tamura-san would have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Which is like wild to think about.
Yeah.
But it's because no one in their right mind would sacrifice this $500 subframe to make just for 2 brackets, because that subframe's useless after I do that.
Right.
It's
You
fucking
cut it
junk.
out. Yeah.
But I want to be able to bolt a Nismo arm. So I use an S13 Nismo arm in place, and now I don't have a steering rack, in the back, and I don't have Hicus.
Yeah. It's like it was almost never there.
It was never there.
Yeah.
And then I use like GK Tech Weldon gussets to like just.
Those are nice.
I don't think you need it, but I modified something. I'd like to strengthen it as much as I can.
And most people won't go looking for those details.
No.
But when they do and they see it, they have to appreciate the time and energy that went into it.
We don't even do it on customer cars. The only customer car that has it is Alex Bowman's 32. If someone asked me, hey, can you do it that way, I would, but it probably costs you like $3,000 to do.
Yeah. Just for
to get rid of,
but
just to get rid of
of
some
it.
brackets.
But
if you're like that, then
well, the reason I do stuff like that is so everything's serviceable.
Mhm.
If I do some weird fucking, you don't know how many cars come in here with like Japanese Hicus deletes, and I'm like, that
So janky
rod end
sometimes.
is fucking loose.
Yeah.
I can't just replace that rod end, so I have to replace the whole fucking Hicus delete. It's like
right.
you could just have an S13 arm in here that has rubber bushings that you can buy at your dealer. You know.
Yeah.
So I like the serviceability and I like the repeatability of things. I want to be able to like break down in Cali and be able to fix it instead of being like, I need my fucking fabricator here,
Right.
flown in tomorrow. Like, I don't want to deal with that shit.
Yeah. So I know this guy did have one thing he wanted to ask about, something about Haggard or something.
Oh, here we go.
This will be the last one. What was it? Haggard Garage?
Yeah, Haggard Garage, dude. What's the deal with that?
So I've never been involved. I'm post Haggard Garage with Rudnick.
Oh, okay.
So I met Rudnick after he had been. We can actually talk. This is like a good funny topic because I have a different outlook today than I had back then. Basically, I guess what it was a bunch of Connecticut kids that just hung out and did some fucking chachery that never should have got done.
That's what it sounded like.
And they never should have really gained any popularity because I think it would, like drifting, do more damage for the community than positive. But it was entertaining. And Rudnick, Racer Miata, was a part of that. And when I met him, he had just exited. So when I got the pitch, the story, it was like, Orion had started it, and he was making all this money and not telling anyone, and he was filming all us. And then one day when we discovered it, I just told him I was going to start my own channel, and he offered me money to stay, and I said, fuck you, whatever. Looking back now, I would never share my ad rev with anyone that didn't put in the time that it takes to make those videos.
Right.
So I doubt any of the fucking scuzzards they hung out with paid for the camera, edited the videos,
Right.
replied to comments, put any
into
energy into it. So at the time, as a non-YouTuber, I'm like, wow, it's kind of fucked up that this dude was like profiting off of you guys.
Yeah.
And now I look back as a YouTuber and I'm like, he was affording you opportunities while, maybe he wasn't paying you, but you don't deserve the money from his fucking day job either.
It's almost the same as like any YouTuber filming an event,
Right.
And not paying each contestant,
Exactly.
you know?
Right.
or you filming this podcast and not paying me.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, or you filming this podcast, him coming along and you not paying him because he's the merch guy. Like
Right.
It's not like that. If he sat down and went, guys, in this table, like We need to fucking start a YouTube. You're the filmer. You're the editor. I'm this guy. That's different. But if he just started filming with his GoPro and editing and just putting junk on the internet and all of a sudden it started creating revenue, he's just a hustler.
Yeah.
Right.
He's just the guy who had the brain. And he doesn't have to give anyone anything.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
He put in the work.
He put in all the work. And now as a YouTuber that got to where I am, you would never have a relationship where it would be even to have a 2-host YouTube channel. I'm not saying podcast. I'm sure you guys are perfectly even.
Right.
A YouTube channel is impossible to have an equal.
Right.
Yes, someone might like you more than you, and some people might like you more than you. But if you're building your GTR and he's watching, you're putting money into content.
Right.
And if you're both building GTRs, but you're building a 34 and he's building a 32, well, he's not putting as much money in. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
It's
yeah.
impossible
I see what
to
you
be
mean.
even unless you guys did everything identical. And if you did do everything identical, that would be the worst channel I'd ever watch.
Right.
You know, so looking back at the time when I talked shit about Orion doing that, and now that I really stepped back and learned who I believe Rudnick is, I'm like, that's the most entitled thing I've ever heard somebody else say because, you know, in your job, I'm sure there was people that helped you get to the end, but they didn't do it as much as you.
Right.
And you have to, it's only your responsibility to decide what they're worth.
I would love to hear Orion's story.
I would love to talk to Orion.
Yeah.
Did you watch Haggard or something?
No, I didn't. Just whenever doing a little bit of research, it
You'd find
popped
the
up a lot,
Reddit.
Yeah,
so
the
the Reddit
Reddit's
is like the
heavy,
most
yeah.
toxic place ever.
Dude, very.
Which is like fine. It's fine. That these people literally, I assume, get zero attention. And like that's their outlet for their hatred. And if that's how they want to live their life, like I'm about it. You know,
Especially when they have a chance at actually contacting who they're talking about.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but no one even fucks with it anymore because they got so belligerent that like I used to be in there, that got banned. Rudnick was in there, Jimmy's been in there, Spoon's been. Everyone's been in
We've
there.
all been in there.
and everyone tries to just get in and get in the water and swim with them, but.
Yeah.
They're not even like loyal to themselves, you know.
No.
So it's
Yeah.
just like
you
Snake
can
pit.
tell them
Yeah.
that they're wrong, and they'll go, "Oh, yeah, I guess I'm wrong."
Well, that's the worst with YouTube comments in general. Someone talks shit, and you're like, actually, and they're like, "Holy shit, I didn't think you'd respond. I didn't mean anything
Right.
by it." You know what I mean?
They flip flop.
I've never
Backpedal.
seen somebody backpedal so hard in my life, but
Yeah, it is crazy.
it's fun to watch. I'll be like, Jack, watch this, and like respond, and then they'll do it like clockwork, you know. But it's that Reddit is there's nothing positive, and I don't even mean positive. You're not going to gain much there. They prefer their fan fiction over the truth,
Yeah.
which so what tells me is they like fictional shit and they want to watch drama shit. It's a little. It comes across a little like femme to me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that in like a. I do want to say it in a derogatory way, but I don't want to like poke at them. There's a time you can be gossipy and dramatic. There's things that go down that are shadowed and swept under the rug that do that and have your fun. You see it with every reality TV show. They have a Reddit. But there's also times when they're talking shit about people's girlfriends and wives or moms or
Even
and
worse, they're digging up like data.
Yeah, and it's just like they're doxing,
Doxing
people. They're
people.
doing it's like-
Yeah.
and it's just like okay. And I've got a funny story. I actually took over that Reddit one time for a very short time. A viewer was like, "Dude, I'm number 3 in line. What do you want to do?" And like,
No shit.
I just unleashed my Patreon on there, gave them all moderator roles, and fucked that place up so bad.
That's why
Then
on the top of the header it has that
says, like,
quote.
TommyFYeah, this is TommyFYeah. You better give us this much by this time
Right.
or whatever. It's just a joke.
It's still there.
But they awoke a sleeping giant. So the person who started the Reddit, they had to like scramble and contact who wasn't even active anymore to take it back over because I was number 2 or 3 in the order.
Oh shit.
So I could have like wiped it. You
That's
know?
crazy.
It was fun. But I just wanted to show them like, I could do this too.
Right.
And I'll pay money. I've offered bounties on people. Find me this, do this. I'll pay you money. Because that's one thing they won't do. But what's funny is when I find them paying for my Patreon to get secret information.
Oh, wow.
And then posing, it's like, well, you paid.
Yeah.
Like you earned that. You
It's a
earned that
backhanded
info.
supporter.
Yeah. So that's a funny place. But
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
they're not critical enough about the right stuff. They sleep on stuff where I'll call him and be like, did you see they said this, but they totally slept on this entire huge mine? You know, like what the fuck was this about? And it's like some small detail that they think they're really digging up. And then you're like, yo, what about the fact that this didn't happen like it was supposed to? And
the whole story doesn't line up anymore.
Yeah, we just laugh about them missing with their fan fiction.
Most of the stuff that's on there is wrong.
Yeah,
but they make stories up even like about me that like. I mean, I've seen it all. Like
they think Jack's a part of the shop.
They think I'm a business partner. They think my parents bought my farm and all this crazy. It's like they make this whole thing up, and I don't even correct them anymore.
No,
I'm just like, whatever.
That's my like issue is I like data and I like the truth. So if I think something, like I think something about you, and he's able to clarify it, or you are. I'm not going to go, I think I'm right anyway. You know what I mean? Like, if it's someone when you clarify it, I'm like, I was way off, or I would tell you what my theory is, and you'd be like, no, but it's this.
Right.
That's more fun to me than just being like, no, I'm right. This is the situation. You know, and you're like, no, I'm telling you the fucking story, how it happened. Nah, I still like my story.
Yeah,
better,
that's
you know?
fantasy.
And that's where I think they are like getting off on this like weird, they're a part of this universe that the Haggard Garage Reddit is a part of this whole universe that everyone's a part of, but it's like this big and it's more laughed at, but it's also like not one person. It's all 24,000 of them are one
it's the whole
person.
community.
Yeah, and if one guy's wrong, they all lose credibility, and if one guy's right, you know, they don't all gain credibility. They're very fucked. They're never going to get what they want out of this.
That's why we look at the whole thing and we go, that's Reddit.
Yeah, we'll say even shit's not Reddit. Like a comment, you belong on the Reddit. You know, if you say something outrageous,
makes
you belong
sense.
on the Reddit.
You're a Redditor now.
But garbage.
Yeah,
garbage, waste of time. The fact that there's people in there that spend consistently X amount of time in there every day is pretty sad.
And
because
that Reddit is a Haggard Garage Reddit too, right?
Yeah, it's Haggard Garage.
It's Haggard. It's funny because, like he said, he was post Haggard.
Yeah, I wasn't even part of it. Most of the people they talk about weren't even.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, you guys will be on there now.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, they'll get you.
They'll post your list on there.
I guarantee you go on there. What, like 24 hours after you post?
Yeah,
you're in there. You'll see posts about me, about him, just stuff.
They'll pull stuff from the podcast and be like, "What does this mean that he
They'll
said
try to
about
connect
Cletus?"
all these dots that don't line up.
Like one time, I said something about like Kyle from Boosted Boys in a live stream, and it wasn't bad. It was just like we don't do the same thing. That was like the gist of it. Maybe I said it wrong or whatever. Like, can you believe he's comparing himself to Kyle from Boosted Boys? And then one time I said like, "Oh, Cletus is fucking up. If I had that Freedom Factory, I'd be doing something different." And I didn't mean it like he's doing something wrong. I mean it like I wouldn't use it that way.
Yeah.
That's like a fantasy of my own to be like, well, if I had that, I'd do this and I'd move this over here. I think everyone at this table would do a different thing at the Freedom Factory.
Yeah.
Of course.
For me to incite that conversation with a bunch of live stream people, maybe I don't even remember what I said. Maybe I went about it wrong.
Tommy would do weddings there.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, he would.
I would never compare me and where I'm at to Cletus and where he's at, and I would never need to. We're not on the same
plane
level. Like he's way bigger and better at whatever he's doing, but we're not even going for the same goal.
Right. It's a different game almost.
It's fucking like it's the most apples and oranges thing you could compare.
And he's motivation.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, this YouTuber owns an airstrip, a fucking racetrack.
Oh my God, the airstrip. Yeah,
it's crazy.
What?
Insane.
Bought an airplane.
You know, like I do like, you know, just my own little YouTube videos of whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
One of the things I do is I taught myself how to fly a helicopter in a simulator.
Oh, cool.
I made a video flying at that airstrip.
Oh,
because
wow.
somebody made like a version of it in the flight simulator. It's one of my biggest videos because
he took landing at Cletus' airstrip, you know?
That's crazy.
But that's fun, and I love to be a part of, you know, whatever everyone's doing. But
all right, I want to go do car stuff.
You do.
I want to see this
yeah.
stuff. You got me all horned up about this GTT
Seriously.
and everything else. But obviously everybody knows. But where can we find you on the internet?
GarageSZero is the YouTube channel. GarageSZero with a 0 on the end is the Instagram. And then my Instagram's TommyFYeah, which I am changing like GarageSZero, TommyFYeah, or GS0 or something. I want to like connect everyone, like Jack be on it, all that. But right now it's just at TommyFYeah. I'm actually not doing it because I want to make sure I can own TommyFYeah still. If I change it, I might just put it in the bio. I don't really know how I'm going to go about it. But email GarageSZero@gmail if you want to get a car built. And
bring that big budget, though, because we want to play for sure.
I mean, to be fair, like your average build, and I'll show you what our average build is, probably like 45, 55. And then 2.8 builds start at like 60, somewhere in there to do like a 2.8. From 45 to 60 makes sense. 55 would be a gnarly 2.6 build. 60 is probably a pretty weak 2.8 build, like pretty basic 2.8 build, but that's where it starts. And if you come down, if you're serious and you have a GTR and you prove you're not a fucking Redditor from Haggard Garage Reddit, I'll take you for a ride and shit or let you drive something or whatever.
Yeah. And so where do we find you on the internet?
You can go YouTube, Jack Cecile, or you can just Google HP Logic. That's the name of my shop.
Okay, cool.
And you'll find me, him, and everything in between.
Where is HP Logic nowadays?
It's still in the same location.
Oh, okay.
It's down in Florida. I've just basically, I've converted a lot of my efforts to GarageSZero just so that I can focus on that project, because HP Logic is kind of turnkey. It's doing its own thing.
Yep.
I have a mechanic there full time, just working, and I'll tune cars as they come and as they need. But I'm not actively pursuing any growth from that at this point. Yeah. So pushing towards.
So where do you live
GarageSZero.
nowadays?
I live in Florida.
Oh, okay. So he just flies you up on the private jet.
Yeah.
You just jump out.
He jumps on the PJ. It's called JetBlue.
That's a private way.
Yeah, I feel you.
So yeah, well, I'm come in,
easy.
do base maps, do tunes, whatever, check shit, and then he can do anything remotely too.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's actually really easy getting here for me because the airport's so close. Last time I came up here, I actually forgot my driver's license.
Oh wow!
I went to the airport, went to check in, didn't have my license, drove home, got it, came back, and still made my flight.
That's insane.
So it's easy.
Decent.
Yeah.
All right, boys. We definitely appreciate the time here.
Let's go shred.
Yeah, it's been amazing. But for episode 133, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
This is Tommy. This is Jack.
Hey.
Peace.